All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Market Close. We are here. We are live. What a Friday it has been. And it looks like we're going to end out this Friday in not too bad of a way. We have a ton of headlines to talk about, a bunch of different things that have happened throughout the day, but it's been not too bad. Palantir looks like it's trying to get the 187 close, up 2.7%. Hoodie is trying to go for the 115 close, 115.45. That's up 3.79%. And the S&P 500 was nearing all-time highs. Right now, you got a little bit of a red candle right there, 636.29. It's up about 0.64%, but it was almost at 638. And then, story of the day, BMNR. Above 50, 52.59. That's up 27% on the day. And that is led on the backs of Ethereum, which has finally, since December 15th, 2024, begun to break out above 4,000, 4,050 right here. We got to 4,067. I mean, it touched 4,000 a little bit during the morning, and now it is finally above it. It could obviously come down below, but you got just a lot of investor excitement and interest. Obviously, stablecoins and tokenization being the core thesis that Tom Lee has been talking about over the past couple of months, and that has led to Ethereum to get some more excitement. So Ethereum right here, 4,000. Bitcoin as well, not doing too bad on the day. Bitcoin 116, it's down a little bit on the day. It was at 117 in the morning, but an overall good day for crypto. Now, what's not having a good day is the trade desk. Obviously, this one just got wrecked after earnings, down 38%. I think it requires a lot more digging to see if it's worth buying the dip, but that one down almost 40% of the day. Salesforce down about 0.5%. Uber down 3%. Take-Two down 4%. Duolingo down 4%. Block down 4%. Nvidia up a little bit, 182.37. And then you got the Googs that looks like it's going to get its first $200 close since February of 2024, which would be incredible. 201.27 on Google. Tesla 328. It was at 334. Netflix 12.11. And this one came to the party. Apple. Folks, Apple was almost at $231. Apple right now, $229. It likely will close above $229, which is very, very good. And that led to the Nasdaq, not at all-time highs anymore, just below it, but it was at all-time highs, 573.80, up almost 1% on the day. It was not bad. Not a bad day at all. You're seeing a lot of momentum. SBET has not been going the same way as BMNR. I'm sure there's a variety of reasons why. SBET, though, is up 3% of the day, but BMNR is getting a higher MNAV. They do have about $3 billion of ETH on the balance sheet. And I made a picture to describe how Tom Lee is feeling right now. And I think this picture is relatively accurate. I think that's how he's feeling right now. So there you go. Ethereum at 4,000. Dude, it's not my birthday. Why is everyone spamming? Who told everyone in the chat to spam happy birthday? It is not my birthday. My birthday is in October. I appreciate the wishes 4 months in advance or 3 months in advance, but yeah, it's not my birthday today. If it is your birthday, though, happy birthday to whoever's birthday it is. SoundHound as well. This one I still think holding about 27%, 26.49. Great day for SoundHound. I mean, overall, I think the tenor of this market is that we are seeing more money get allocated in places that it needs to get allocated in, which is eventually risk on assets or just assets in general, since there's too much money on the sideline with the expectation of rate cuts that are likely happening in September. Here's Tom Lee this morning, or not this morning, this afternoon. He was on about 30 minutes ago. Here are his thoughts on how to think about why this market is getting the momentum.
What's the story?
I think the market's consolidating and maybe trying to get direction from what the market does, because we did gain 28% from the April lows. We got to digest that. Now we're in August, like the dog days of August, where liquidity is lower. And I think that we're still holding our breath because we're in a period where the Fed isn't going to make an interest rate decision until September. So some of the key macro is kind of on hold. So I think markets are wait and see, but I'd say that pullbacks have been shallow.
Is it fair to say there's a more sober view from investors about stocks? I mean, you've been suggesting that this is a hated V-shaped recovery, even as we continue to climb this wall of worry until most recently where we've sort of sputtered in place.
That's right. I mean, it's definitely the most hated. I can attest to it from our conversations with clients. We can see it measured in surveys like AAII, where there's stubborn bearishness, very cautious, which is actually good for stocks. They're cautious because, of course, markets have moved and our clients tend to be valuation sensitive. But I think adding to their frustration is that during that April downturn, many were selling their best names because they were trying to get defensive, and then they haven't fully reloaded yet. So I think that's why there's still room for stocks to go up.
So your clients are valuation sensitive, which makes me almost want to laugh, because is anybody valuation sensitive to what's been going on in the market? We're historically well above the averages on the prices that you're willing to pay for stocks.
Yes. I mean, what we usually tell our clients, but really at the core, any fundamental investor is going to use valuation as really one of their anchors, is that the stock market had 6 stress tests in the last 5 years, from COVID to the bullwhip supply chain, to the fastest inflation cycle in history, to the fastest Fed hikes in history, then to the Trump tariffs, and then, of course, U.S. bombing nuclear facilities of Iran. Those are things that could cause catastrophes for earnings, but instead the S&P earnings have actually grown. So I think,
and that's a really, really big deal. I mean, you have 6 major events over the past 5 years that should have destroyed the market, or at least taken the market down significantly. And every time one of those things happened, we had a little bit of a pullback. I mean, a little bit of a dip. COVID was obviously the worst of it. The hiking in 2022 was the worst of it. But then, as Tom Lee says, out of 445 companies that reported in the S&P 500, 83% of them have beat. So it's just hard to say that some of these things, we've been talking a lot about valuation this whole week, are the most important elements of investing when there's so few companies to invest in. And every time you've had a major event, like an event that should be surprising the market to the downside, that's just not been the case, since more money gets allocated and people buy the dip.
I think we're in the process of re-rating the S&P. So I actually think multiples are continue drifting higher.
Okay, so let's talk about other so-called knocks on the market. Valuation, obviously, one of them. They say there's too much speculation. You look at some of these stocks, meme stocks, low quality stocks, cult stocks, and other things that have gone up a ton. Now, you're the chairman of BitMine, which is new, right? Your role there is new. And I'm sure there's a lot of great feeling about you and the role and what's taking place there. BitMine's up 65% this week, okay? It's up 1,000% since you became chairman. Respectfully, I mean, come on. What's happening with these stocks? What's happening with some of this fervor that feels like it's in the market?
Well, I think the dearth of IPOs over the last 5 or 6 years has shrunk the number of stocks in the in the U.S. stock market. There's not even 5,000 listed stocks anymore. So these names that are IPOing are scarce, and that's why they go up. BitMine is really, in a simple way, you can value it on how much Ethereum it holds. When I joined as chairman, it had $4 of Ethereum held per share. That number is well over $25 today. So the stock isn't even trading at a high multiple of its Ethereum holdings. And it's well north of 25, but we've disclosed 25 previously. So it's actually, in a way, less expensive now than it was a month ago.
But I don't bring this up to put you in a defensive position in any way. I bring it up as a vehicle to have a conversation about what's been taking place in certain parts of the market. I mean, does what you see make you kind of step back? You could take BitMine out of the conversation.
Yeah.
I give you 50 examples of other things that have just gone absolutely parabolic.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, a lot of those parabolic stocks, the Open Doors, the Krispy Kremes, they're not going parabolic anymore, which means people either took their losses or they took their profits and put it back into NVIDIA.
Well, I think like a Circle is a good example of scarcity, because that was the best IPO really in 5 or 6 years, but it's a blue chip company. They are the biggest compliant issuer of stablecoins in the US, and it's growing prodigiously. So in a way, it makes sense that it went from, a $20 IPO to 200 today, because it's scarce. It's just as scarce as a Palantir, but with a different market size. And I think that these quality names like a Figma represents that same scarcity, because we actually have a shrinking number of stocks out there. There's a lot more privately held companies, but the public market's small. And then if you think about it, there's every year dividends are paid on the S&P. That's sitting on the sidelines. There's $7 trillion cash on the sidelines. People make income and they're saving 10%. If they don't buy stocks and they haven't been able to buy homes, this cash is piling up, and that's why it probably goes into the stock market.
Okay, so
I mean, it's a pretty logical argument with what Tom Lee is trying to say, and the argument he's trying to make for why the stock market is getting liquidity. Joe says, Mick, can you say hi to my wife, Jody? Hello, Joe and Jody. Thank you for watching the channel, and thank you for being part of the community. I think the broader argument there is that if the housing market is frozen and stocks have more liquidity and the access to retail investors has started to become more monumental in terms of platforms like Robinhood, then people that are saving their income are investing in assets because they want to escape inflation, and 4% might not be juicy in a money market fund, even though there's still $7 trillion in those money market funds. BMR right here up 25% of the day. And earnings are beating. And so when you put those things together, like, yes, is the valuation expanding? Of course. And you don't have to like Figma's valuation or any of these other companies he's talking about, but he's not wrong. And I think it was on the podcast I did with him a month ago where he first kind of introduced this argument about the scarcity of stocks in general that are good companies, reasonable companies to invest in. And then when you find the phenomenal ones like an NVIDIA, Palantir, Tesla, et cetera, they're going to get a higher multiple simply because it's hard to replicate what they've built. And as a result, I think that's why we're getting some of that momentum, and it's been obviously doing very well for people that have invested. Nebius right here, that's up about 6% of the day, 69.13. You got the S&P 636, Robinhood just below 115. If we get the 114.50 close, I will be happy. Palantir as well, just below 187. If we get a 186 close, would not be sad about that. Google looks like we will get the 200 close. Netflix 1210, App Lovin 455, that's up 4%. Tessie did not hold on to 334, but 329 is not too bad either. Hims 5187, Lemonade, Hims is up 2%, Lemonade's up 3%. Oscar, not too bad, trying to go for 1546 right now. Microsoft 521, and then Meta 768. The real one of the day in terms of the Max 7 is Apple. I mean, very, very nice to see Apple get this momentum. Tim Cook did what he had to do. He went up to the administration, pledged whatever investments he had to present, gave Donald Trump a gift, and that is what allowed the market to see that Apple has the administration on their side. If they could get Siri right in 2026, and maybe GPT-5, GPT-7 is going to be powering the underlying foundation of Siri, and they really introduce it in a meaningful way along with a new device, maybe the glasses, maybe the iPhone 18, that is what I think could really get Apple back on track. It's just a question of if they do it. And if they do, then we're going to see how this ends up playing out. And for those that said he kissed the ring, he absolutely did. But like, if you're investing in a stock, you want your CEO to kiss the ring, because I mean, Jensen kissed the ring, Elon kissed the ring until Elon finally got rid of the ring. Vlad donated 2 million, kissed the ring. I mean, all these people, at the end of the day, you have to have good relationships with the administration. And it seems like that's what they did to make sure that the market could perceive the companies as having good relationships. Now, someone that did not have a good relationship with the administration, the head of the IRS. Trump has fired the head of the IRS. He's been having issues with the head of the IRS for the past, call it 2 months now. And Besant, the U.S. Treasury Secretary, will temporarily act as the new IRS commissioner. That has never happened in history. The first time that the U.S. Treasury Secretary, even as a temporary IRS commissioner, is happening. So I think for investors, there's not a massive implication other than the fact that the IRS will now be very aligned with the administration, because the Treasury Secretary, Besant, who is very aligned with the administration, is the head of the IRS. So I don't think there's a massive takeaway there, but that is a piece of news that we saw over really the past 30 minutes. CEOs have a fiduciary duty to kiss the ring. Exactly. And Tim Cook did what he had to do. Apple stock up 12% this week. Best week since May, which is not too bad. All right, folks, here we go. 30 seconds until we end out another week covering the global capital equity markets. Steve will be on in a little bit. We'll get his thoughts on what's going on in the market. Palantir, it's been an incredible week. Thank you all for being here with me every single day, twice a day for some of you guys. We'll do year-to-dates after we ring the bell, but just a phenomenal week, and it makes you remember why you invest in the first place. Friday, August 8th, here we go, 4 p.m. The stock market is now closed. All right, markets closed. Apple closes at a level it has not seen in the past 7 months, 229. It's very nice for Apple to be participating. Even if you don't own it, it really helps the broader S&P and the Nasdaq. Microsoft, Meta, and NVIDIA have been doing most of the work on the Nasdaq this year. Apple is starting to participate. Apple right there, 229. Palantir, just under 187, 186.96 is what we get on the close for Palantir. Robinhood, just under 115, 114.63 for Robinhood. By the way, I have some updated stats, or some projections of stats on their crypto trading volumes going into Q3. I don't want to get people too excited, but if the July crypto volumes continue for the next 2 months, which is let's just say it's not going to be exactly like July, but if it's anywhere near that, Robinhood's going to do $1.3 billion of revenue in Q3. So I will show those stats in a bit. Again, that's a projection, but July was amazing. And if August and September are good, then that will be very good for Robinhood. S&P 637.15. They close up 1% on the day. Not bad for the S&P 500, just below all-time high. Salesforce right here was flat on the day. Uber was actually down 3.28%. Nebius, great week for the Nebius Bulls, up 5.3%. BMNR ends up 24% on the day. Incredible. The Qs, 574.55. That's an all-time high. Trade Desk, unfortunately, 38% down. Not the best for the Trade Desk. It was a little bit of a nasty earnings, but that one is down. Bitcoin right here, 116. Ethereum, 4,060. Twilio as well. Wow, I didn't even see Twilio all day. I don't know if you guys did either. Down 20%. They had earnings as well. I think they beat on the top and the bottom, but I guess it wasn't good enough. That one right there, down 20%. Atlassian as well was down about 1%. Serve Robotics was down about 1%. Texas Roadhouse was down about 7%. Broadcom 304, almost at all-time highs. That's up 0.5%. And then where did NVIDIA end? NVIDIA 182.70. I'll take it. 182.70. Not too bad for NVIDIA. AMD, again, earnings weren't the best, but 172. This thing was at like 165. So nice to see that one get a bit of recovery. Dutch Bros on the day. This was a good earnings. It was actually down 6%. They did have a decent earnings and it popped, but now that one's down 6%. Again, Duolingo also didn't have the best day, down about 5.2%. Coinbase, let's take a look at that one. That was flat on the day. And then we also had Microsoft, which was relatively flat, 522 on the day as well. Not bad. So Paramount's not going to be replaced today. I know there were some big accounts that don't really care about being truthful or like having any sources, and they tweeted that Robinhood's going to get into the S&P later. It's like they don't have any source for that. There's no validity to it. From what I read, Paramount will be turned into a new ticker, PKSY, and it will stay in the S&P 500 until September if the S&P 500 committee decides to get rid of it. But today is not going to be the day that Paramount goes with. So yeah, we're likely not going to see any S&P inclusion later throughout the day. CoreWeave as well got a nice boost from Nebius. CoreWeave right here, 7% on the day. Again, absolutely incredible. David says, Amit, not sure if you remember, I sold all my Google a while back and bought Nebius. Not looking bad. Hey, not looking bad at all. I mean, this stock has done incredibly well, and those earnings only show the expansion of their ability to succeed when it comes to data signers and overall AI compute. All right, let's do year-to-dates. What do you have on the year-to-date? Again, we kind of do this pretty much every Friday. And let's see where people are at. I think the last time we did this on Friday, we were still all well above 30%, even though we had a nasty 2% day on the S&P 500 to the downside. So most people still doing relatively okay, even if it wasn't amazing. But now I think most people are, especially after a Palantir week, if you own this one in your port, it's done very well. Palantir's not the only thing that's done well this week, but this one has done pretty well. And so Apple, if people own Apple, that's what Tesla recovering this week. Google breaking 200. I mean, it should be a relatively decent week for a lot of people. My year-to-date is 108%. Last night, it was 104. Today, it's 108. So yeah, we were at 108. I posted a long post on my Twitter. It's in the description. You can just go to my Twitter and you can read kind of how I'm thinking about portfolio construction, all that stuff. But we're at 108 year to date. All right, let's see what we got. Susan, 25%. Deneen, 39%. Sam, 30%. Savvy Investor, 233%. Carlos, 119%. Mark, 68%. Matthew, 108%. Subit, 380%. Some pretty incredible numbers. Vardon's 10%. Eagle Eye 124. Jeremy 147. Russell said, I started on the tariff pause 60. Someone yesterday said I'm up 15% since April, but it's the first time I started investing. So they got the April dip to get in, and 15% is not horrible at all. So pretty incredible. Batty right here, 160. Raul 70. Ari 68. Sanjeev 47. Justin 53. I mean, the averages here look to be kind of over 45, 50% if we really took the averages. 70 from Mark, 76 from Afro, 79 for Chad, 65 for Simon, Ace for 131, Dougie 71, Martin 116, Chicago 40, 49% for Thomas. It's pretty incredible. Pretty incredible account across the door. Toter 80%, Carlos 20, Farino 49. It is definitely a different vibe from last Friday. And that doesn't mean we can't have any weakness, but August so far has not been, also Tom Lee said, S&P 6,500 by the end of this month, and he said he thinks it's starting next week, the run to the 6,500. His logic was actually interesting. He said before the S&P breaks out to an all-time high, Bitcoin tends to do it historically based on the data they looked at, and Bitcoin made its run on July 9th to all-time highs to 123, and usually a month later, the S&P does the same. So his argument is in about a week, the S&P 500 should begin its run basically next week to start getting to 6,500. Nick 47, Alden 193 in 3 months. Edvin 33, Simply JC 158, Admonk 150 since April of 2025. Again, those who got in April did very, very well. I mean, it's incredible. It's absolutely incredible. Just across the board. Across the board. It's cool, dude. It's cool. And I know a lot of these numbers, some people might be saying it and, hey, wait a second, these numbers are a bit crazy. Is this realistic? I mean, first of all, if you're lying in the chat and typing some random number, you're doing nothing other than lying to yourself, right? Like if I highlight your name on the screen and say, Jason's up 550%, like that does nothing for your life. You know, it's like, there's literally zero incentive to do that. So if you're doing that, whatever, but I can believe it because I'm looking at 108% and I'm invested in a lot of same stuff that you guys are invested in. And you guys are invested in a lot of other names that I'm not invested in that have done very well, like a Nebius, for example. So, yeah, last year I was up 275%. A lot of people were up a lot more than that. Last year we had a great year. This year we're having a decent year. Hopefully we maintain it. Earnings have been good. And the stock market is reciprocating in terms of these results. Love to Fly Pilot just crossed 2.4 million year-to-date profits at 56%. Absolutely incredible. I mean, it's pretty dope. It's pretty dope across the entire board. So congrats to everybody. Again, this is the cool thing about this community. Like, we are not cheering for the New York Knicks to win a game. Like, would it be cool? Sure. But we're not cheering for some sports teams. We are cheering for stocks to go higher because we believe there is something rooted in those stocks that deserve our capital that we work very hard to be able to earn. And that capital hopefully compounding based on the research and due diligence that we do inside of these companies. If it rewards us, but the share price is appreciating, that is what this community is all built around in terms of sharing that collective DD and then being able to advance our own financial lives. And that's why it's just so cool. It is so cool. Palantir right here, 187 after hours. CoreWeave, 129.77. Nebius, 68.92 after hours as well. All right, let's go to the stock draft challenge. It should be fully updated for the day. And this is what we are officially looking at. This is basically 2.5 months since we started this challenge from June of 2025. Matt is up 17.27%. I'm up 15.63. Tanner is up 7.11. Steve is up 0.32. And Chris is down 3.18. So those are the rankings for all of this. Yeah, Uzi says port at all-time highs. I'm sure a lot of people are seeing port at all-time highs as well, which is pretty incredible. Ali says, what would you say is a long-term sustainable return rate? The last few years have been amazing, so I'm wondering what you would say is a long-term goal. You know, it's a really hard thing to answer that question because, like, if you're one of the GOATs, you know, you can put up 20, 25%. And I think Buffett has done 20% plus for the past like 60 years or something, which is incredible, beat the S&P. But is 20%, like, you know, if you're individually picking stocks and we're in an AI revolution over the next 5 to 10 years, let's just say 5 instead of 10, like, is 20% the benchmark? The S&P has 10% as their benchmark. So is, you know, if you're picking individual stocks and like, is there so much explosive growth in the future that 20% shouldn't be the benchmark? I don't know. And maybe that's too aggressive. Maybe that's not aggressive enough. Like, we're just in a whole different environment for earnings. I mean, the average earnings growth, we don't have all the official numbers yet, but it's looking like it's going to be 13.7%. That is more than Q1. And Q1, the expectations were 11.4. We came in at 13.5. So if we come in at 13.7 and that's up quarter over quarter, mind you, year over year, I mean, it would be incredible. It would absolutely be incredible. Okay, so in terms of Matt's portfolio, Rocket Lab leading the way, up 68%. He's down on Berkshire and he's down on Dutch Bros. Still up 34% on ABCL. That's how he has 17% on his portfolio. For me, Palantir's up 32, Robinhood's up 49, Tesla's now break even, AMD 36, JP Morgan 8, Nebius 36, Grab 3, Apple 16, Visa's down 4, Duolingo's down 21. That's how we get 15 for me. Steve, biggest contributor right here is Broadcom, 21%. Meta's been doing good. Microsoft's been doing good. HIMS down 13%. And then CrowdStrike down 11%. PayPal as well, down 6%. CRM down 8%. By the way, we have some new stats on PayPal that I'll talk about in just a second. And then Tanner, biggest loser for him right now is Trade Desk based on today. ServiceNow not doing the best either, down 13%. NVIDIA's up 26%. Coinbase is up 18%. TSM's up 13%. AppLovin, which was great for him based on these earnings, is up 22%. And then Chris, UNH down 15%. Google, he's up 15%. Marvell, he's up 10%. Elf, he's down 19%. Oracle, he's up 19%. Cisco up 11%. Eli Lilly down 21%. Novo down 30%. And then Take-Two down 8%. And that is the lineup we have for the ranking. So Matt, Amit, Tanner, Steve, Chris right now on the ETFs. Okay, so let me show you guys a couple of stats right here. This is only halfway done. So August 15th is the deadline, meaning next week is the deadline for super investors to disclose their 13Fs and 13Gs. And it's not just super investors, but those are the ones we care about, the Druckenmillers, the Howard Marks, the Buffetts, the Bill Ackmans of the world. But so far, we have had 21 of the 81 super investor filings based on what data Roma keeps up with. And here are the top Q2 buys so far. Again, this is only based on 21 of the 80 or 22 of the 81 super investing filings. Okay, these are the top 10. UNH, Google, TSM, Thermo Fisher, Meta, Texas Instruments, Applied Materials, US Bancorp, Tyson, and PayPal. So you got, those are your top 10 buys. And then your top 10 buys last quarter by percentage: Google, UNH, TSM, Thermo, Bank of America, Warner Brothers, AMAT, Broadcom, Microchip, and Meta. So again, we have a lot more data to come out soon in regards to what's going to be happening with the super investors. But so far, we're about a quarter of the way in. That is what you have for the super investor buys. Okay, we have a headline. Putin offers ceasefire in Ukraine for Eastern territory. Putin demands Ukraine cede Donetsk. I'm not even going to try to say that. I'm not going to say it. I can say Crimea, but the other ones I can't say. But that one in Crimea. Okay, so that's pretty big news. I wonder how the market's reacting to that. We did know that Trump is getting ready to meet Putin, or at least it was a rumor that Trump's going to be meeting Putin soon. He talked about it yesterday. So you have 3 regions that Putin is demanding for, and he will offer a ceasefire for that eastern part of the region. I don't know if Mr. Zelensky is going to easily say that's the type of negotiation we want to do. S&P is actually green, 637.80. It's moving up after hours. What's the source for this? Is this Bloomberg? Let me see. It looks like this is Bloomberg. Okay, it looks like this is Bloomberg. So we don't have an official confirmation from Russia or the United States or the White House. This is Bloomberg saying this is the territory that Putin's asking for. Yeah. Oh, sorry. It's Wall Street Journal as well. Yeah. Okay. Well, I see the Bloomberg article, but Wall Street Journal reporting it as well. Okay. I don't know. What do they do to my man to scare you pronouncing it? Dude, I'm not even going to try because I'm obviously going to say it wrong. And I don't want anyone to get upset because it's the name of region. So I'm just not going to say it. But that's the eastern territory of Ukraine. You know, Trump's probably going to say that this is a good deal because Trump has been saying, hey, it's time to end the war. The problem is I really doubt Ukraine's going to willingly say, okay, cool, you can just have this, especially when they fought 2 years for that to not happen. But there you go. That's your headline right now, breaking right after the bell. There you go. Trump says, I have some information on Russia-Ukraine later. I'm working to end the Russia-Ukraine war. Did Trump tweet that today? I knew Trump talked about it yesterday. Trump just tweeted. He said, as president, my highest aspiration is to bring peace and stability. Oh, wait, Trump is live right now. Wait, right? Trump is live. He's live with the Armenian and Azerbaijan presidents, if I'm not wrong. Let's see. Are they still live? Yeah, they're still live. Let's see. Okay, they're signing a peace deal right now. So they probably did their talking. I don't know if they did the Q&A yet.
That is so great. And we'll how about holding up that document, all right? Well, thank you. This is really a big day, and we have some other big announcements, but I didn't want to make them because I don't want to do anything that could even in a little way overshadow what's taken place today. 35 years of death and hatred, and now it's going to be love and respect and success together. And I didn't really want to do anything that would in any way overshadow. I don't think it can be overshadowed when you're at war and so many people have suffered and so many people have been killed. And now you're going to have great peace. And I look forward to that corridor because that corridor sounds, I'm going to have to get over there. I'll bring Senator Daines with me. And we're going to have to get over this, Steve. So, but this is a really great achievement. And I congratulate you. You're two incredible leaders. You're going to go down in history. And I've read the whole thing about how long it took. And you thought you were there and people let you down, and sometimes you probably let people down. Maybe, I don't know how it works, but that's the way it usually does. But this is something that is very, very special. So I don't want to get in the way of it at all, but we'll take a few questions, maybe at least slightly related, but we have some other things to announce later on in the day. Peter, please.
Related, just because you mentioned the elusive peace in Ukraine. Who is holding up this Ukraine ceasefire summit? Is it Putin or is it Zelensky?
Well, I think it's that one is, as you know, we've been working on a lot of these deals. We've closed every single one of them all throughout the world, and that's the last of them. And they're losing, Peter, about 6, maybe even 7,000 soldiers every single week. Russia, as you know, lost almost 25,000 over the last month and a half, and Ukraine lost just a small number fewer. It's a lot of people are dying, and I think we're getting very close. And we're going to be announcing later on. We're going to have a meeting with Russia. We'll start off with Russia, and we'll announce a location. I think the location will be a very popular one for a lot of reasons. But we'll be announcing that a little bit later. I just don't want to do it now because of the importance of what we just did.
I completely understand
Yeah, please,
that. A follow-up. Are you surprised that Zelensky hasn't figured out by now, in years of war, how to deal with you and to deal with Putin without needing permission to make concessions from his parliament or from a national referendum?
Well, he's going out and getting what he needs. You know, he's not authorized to do certain things. I said, well, you're going to have to get it fast because, you know, we're getting very close to a deal. And he's doing that, and he's working with the European nations, and they're terrific people, terrific leaders, NATO. And as you know, I became very friendly with them. They agreed to go from 2% to 5%, 2% that they didn't pay to 5% that they've already paid. It's trillions of dollars. So, you know, we're working together very closely. But no, in all fairness to President Zelensky, he's getting everything he needs to assuming we get something done. But I'll be meeting very shortly with President Putin. It would have been sooner, but I guess there's security arrangements that unfortunately people have to make. Otherwise, I'd do it much quicker. He would too. He'd like to meet as soon as possible. I agree with it. But we'll be announcing that very shortly, okay? And location. Yeah, please.
Mr. President, with this meeting with Putin, is this Russia's last chance to achieve peace? And do you expect Ukraine to make any type of territorial concession?
Yeah, I don't like using the term last chance. Look, it's, you know, look, this is two very, very smart people. They've been going at it and their predecessors also very smart. And they've been going at it for 35 years. It's tough. And, you know, when those guns start going off, it's awfully tough to get them to stop. It really does. It's a war that should have never happened. It would have never happened if I were president. There was no reason for it. So many people are killed, so much cultural destruction. You look at those magnificent towers, the most beautiful in the world. You know, the spires were considered the most beautiful in the world. They're all in a million pieces laying on the ground, all obliterated, knocked into a million pieces. So sad. But millions of people have died. And very, very much set in their ways. A lot of people were set in their ways, but I think we're getting close. I mean, this was not my war. This was Biden's war. But the European Union has been great. As you know, they're purchasing equipment from us. They have a lot of money, and they're spending a lot of money on buying equipment. We're not spending money, but we are supplying them equipment. They're paying for it. And I think, I think that a lot of things happened recently that would make this go forward. I'm not going to mention anything having to do with India, but maybe that had an impact. But what really had an impact was NATO has stepped up in terms of their spending on buying military equipment. We're in for, probably through Biden and his people, $350 billion. $350 billion. When they hear these numbers, you're saying that's a lot of money. $350 billion the United States has spent on that. It should have spent nothing because it should have never happened. It would have never happened. And Europe is in for over $100 billion, which is, it should be the opposite if we were in for anything, but it should be the opposite. And I will say that Europe wants to see peace. The European leaders want to see peace. President Putin, I believe, wants to see peace, and Zelensky wants to see peace. Now, President Zelensky has to get all of his everything he needs because he's going to have to get ready to sign something, and I think he is working hard to get that done.
Will Zelensky have to give up territory, Mr. President?
Well, you're looking at territory that's been fought over for 3.5 years with, a lot of Russians have died, a lot of Ukrainians have died. So we're looking at that, but we're actually looking to get some back and some swapping. It's complicated. It's actually nothing easy. It's very complicated, but we're going to get some back. We're going to get some switched. There'll be some swapping of territories to the betterment of both. And but we'll be talking about that either later or tomorrow or whatever. Yeah, please. Say it.
If I could ask a question of your guests and also of you.
Yeah.
Of the guests, will the Armenians from Nagorno-Karabakh be allowed to return? And also, do you have any thoughts on the talk about President Trump winning the Nobel Peace Prize? And for President Trump, you're working on resolving 2 other major conflicts. In Gaza, you've spoke of resettling the Gazans. The country of Somaliland has expressed potential interest if you were to diplomatically recognize their independence. Are you inclined to do so? And also, did President Putin present an award to Mr. Witkoff during their recent visit?
He likes Mr. Witkoff, I can tell you that. That's true. Please, go ahead.
I think President Trump deserved to have a Nobel Peace Prize, and we will defend that, and we will promote for that, and that's obvious. So, and today's event, I think, is a very bright expression of that, and hopefully you will invite us.
Front row, you'll be front row.
Yeah.
Thank you.
We are in favor.
Thank you. Thank you.
Can I have a suggestion?
Yes.
So maybe we agree with Prime Minister Pashinyan to send a joint appeal to Nobel Committee to award President Trump with the Nobel Peace Prize, because from the leaders of the countries which were at war for more than 3 decades, having this historic signature here, it really means a lot. This is tangible result of President Trump's leadership, and no one could have achieved that. There have been many presidents here since beginning of 90s, and the so-called Minsk process, which, by the way, today we put an end to with my Armenian colleague, started in 1992. So negotiation under the auspices of OSCE continued for more than 3 decades without any result. So who, if not President Trump, deserves the Nobel Peace Prize? I don't want to go into the history of some very strange decisions of the Nobel Peace Committee to award the prize for someone who didn't do anything at all. But President Trump in 6 months did miracle. So I think that my Armenian colleague will support it, and judging by the reaction of the audience, I think as soon as we come back, we will agree to issue a joint letter. And hopefully, and I also join when president is awarded. We hope that he will
Thank you.
invite us to the ceremony.
You certainly will be. Thank you very much.
Do we have draft to sign now?
Well, we'll see what happens.
We already
It's
like to
really-
sign.
Thank you very much. It's very nice. We're looking into that right now. Good question, actually, and another complex one, as you know, but we're working on that right now. Somaliland.
Mr. President, thank you so much. I wanted to ask you, have you spoken to Russian President Putin yet? And would you go to Russia or Ukraine? And what exactly would you say
We'll
to him?
be announcing the location in maybe a little while, and I think you'll be very happy. We'll see what happens, right? All we can do is do our best. We've been working on this one for a long time. This is a very complicated one also. This was extremely complicated, but we made it less complicated, and we had two very brilliant people on my right and my left. They understood what was at stake. I think if it didn't get done now, it might have never gotten done. So this is the same, very similar with Ukraine. It became more and more complicated as time went on. It was simple at the beginning. Wasn't going to happen, but it became more and more complicated. But I think we're getting close. Yes, ma'am. Yes, go ahead, please.
Could the location for the summit be Italy?
Location.
Oh. I will give it to you very soon. Honestly, I don't want to do anything. These guys, I don't want to do anything where that's like, because this is a bigger story than a location. A location's good. I'm a real estate person. I know about location, but there's nothing to compete with this in terms of what we're doing today. It's just such a great achievement for these two. Really, they'll go down as great leaders for what they did. I put them together, but what they have been able, and I don't want to do anything. So we'll talk about it later. Today, we'll give you a location today.
Cartels too. You were talking about sending military forces to fight against the drug cartels in Latin America. Do you think it's worth sending our forces, our U.S. forces there to take this on?
Cartels where?
Central Latin America.
Well, Latin America's got a lot of cartels. They've got a lot of drugs flowing. So, we want to protect our country. We have to protect our country. We haven't been doing it for 4 years. And we love this country like they love their countries. We have to protect our country. So, we're playing a tough game, but we'll have more to say about that soon. Yes, ma'am.
Mr. President, I'm Musala from Azerbaijan News Agency Report. So we are grateful to be here. Today you host a truly historic meeting. As a person who values diplomacy and global interaction, do you consider the possibility to visiting Azerbaijan? Actually, you mentioned Azerbaijan and Armenia after this meeting.
Well,
To visit our countries, do you consider to visit? Wow.
which one do I consider better?
Yes.
Oh, I think if I ever said that you would say, this guy couldn't have solved the problem. You know what? I consider them both great, okay? And you know what? They're going to be even greater. But and they're very different in many ways, but they have a lot in common. But they're both great as far as I'm concerned. Yeah, please. It's an interesting question, right? That would have been a hell of an answer if I said, well, I think I like this one or that one. No, we don't do that. Go ahead, please.
Mr. President, first of all, thank you for bringing peace to South Caucasus, something that no one has been able to achieve in 35 years.
Thank you.
That's number one. We also noticed that you think highly of the commitments that the sides have taken on and assumed. However, considering the long history of conflict and the fact that this is not a legally binding document, will there be consequences if at some point one of the sides takes a step back?
I don't think it's going to happen. I think it's going to be very good. And I told them, I gave them a personal commitment. If there's always little problems here and there, right? The big ones have been solved. These are the giant ones have been solved. But if there's conflict, they both know they're going to call me and we're going to get it straightened out. They're not going to have a problem. Where are you from?
Armenia.
Okay, good. Very good. I was wondering, it was a very unusual question, but it's not unusual considering you're from Armenia. If there's a problem, we will get it worked out. I told them both, don't let the problem last. We get it early and we'll get it solved. Good reporter you have over there. Okay.
Can I ask?
Please.
First of all, I'd like to say that today we initialed the peace deal, which was in the process of negotiations for quite a while. The fact that it is initialed here in the capital number one of the world, in the office number one of the world, and in front of the great president of the United States means that there should be no doubts and no suspicions that any of the sides would step back. If any of us, Prime Minister Pashinyan or myself, had in mind to step back, we wouldn't have come here. So you can be absolutely sure, as well as Azerbaijani community, that what has happened today will result in peace, long-lasting peace, eternal peace in the Caucasus.
That's a very nice.
I'm sorry.
All right, there you go. Did not know this meeting was happening today, but apparently it did. You know, it comes right on time with this Russia-Ukraine news. S&P likes it. It's up after hours. S&P, wow, a 0.17. I think that's all-time highs after hours. No, very close to all-time. All-time high is 639. We're at 638.30. But that is green after hours. So it seems like this Ukraine news, which I really doubt Ukraine's going to easily accept it. And also, it's just a ceasefire. Putin's not saying that, or at least the Wall Street Journal is reporting that Putin's not going to say he's ending the war. He will, quote unquote, halt the war. And halting is obviously not ending. So giving up the Eastern Territory just for a ceasefire, I don't know. Feels a bit unlikely like that will get accepted. Trump kind of said, hey, we're going to be meeting with Putin and Zelensky soon, and we'll try to figure out what's going on. But this is what the Wall Street Journal is reporting. And in general, peace is good for the markets across the entire world. So although it did seem like there was some glazing going on, a lot of that glazing is something that we should be happy about because it will help the broader markets as they will interpret peace and the solid communication between all countries coming together, signing these different peace treaties, these different peace deals. It's bullish. It's less geopolitical instability across the world, which is not the worst thing. Did gold actually drop 1% on that news? Nah, yeah, you're right. Gold is actually down right here. So gold is, it was up 0.24% of the day. Again, gold a little bit more of a risk on asset. Yeah, it's down just a little bit after hours right here as the market basically transitions into risk if we have global peace versus dealing with gold. Okay, so going back to the stats that I was talking about right here, these were the top 10 buys last quarter. UNH, Google, TSM, Thermo Fisher, Meta, Texas Instruments, Applied Materials, US Bancorp, Tyson, PayPal. PayPal was very surprising to see that there. Now, we only have, again, 22 out of the 81 super investor filings. Super investors are people that usually manage from $500 million and more. You know, round about the average is about $1 billion, $1 billion, $2 billion. And PayPal made the list. So it seems like there's some deep value there, at least of the super investors. UNH, obviously at the top of that list, makes sense. UNH is down a lot. Google has been disrespected all year as one of the Max 7s. And this is the top 10 buys by last quarter by percentage as well. Now, we did have another person who just disclosed his portfolio, $6.1 billion. This is David Abrams. A lot of people know him. He didn't make any changes other than buying Circle. So you've got David Abrams saying, hey, 275,000 shares of Circle. Reported price is 181. We'll see if that's exactly accurate. But if so, then he definitely bought after the IPO. And he's a little bit down on that position, but still is believing in the stablecoin thesis. A couple other pieces of updates in regards to Bitcoin. So Harvard University just invested, or at least they filed in their 13Fs and 13Gs. Again, by the end of next week, we should have all of the 13Fs and 13Gs. We should see what every big investor, what NVIDIA is doing, all these people are doing with their portfolios. 120 million into BlackRock's IBIT ETF. Pretty incredible that you got BlackRock investing, or you got Harvard investing in Bitcoin. You also have Brown University that put in $13 million, about $6.5 million of IBIT to their portfolio as well. So I think what's really funny to me is that these Ivy League universities have economic professors that likely don't even believe in Bitcoin. I didn't go to an Ivy League. I went to Rutgers, but I remember in 2017, I was in macro econ 101, and Bitcoin was surging to like 20,000 back in 2017 before it then crashed to like 8,000. And I remember my professor explicitly saying, stay away. It's full of shit. There's nothing real to it. And, you know, that's not real economics. And now the Ivy Leagues are having to invest in Bitcoin. It's also one of the reasons I think the whole crypto winter narrative might not be as easy to digest going into the end of this quote unquote cycle, because you just have so much more institutionalization around the asset class. They would really talk down on it. Yeah, some of you guys who went to college back in that 2015, 2020 timeframe, even if you're there now, I mean, I remember my professor, because a lot of kids, because all of us were, there was a class of, I think it was like 1,000 kids. It was one of those big lecture halls. And everyone, that's when I downloaded Coinbase for the first time. Everyone was freaking out about Bitcoin because this thing just like started going to the moon. And I remember someone asked the professor, and in front of everybody, he was like, why are you wasting my time with this question? Like, it was just not even important to him. So yeah, obviously they were wrong. And things have fundamentally changed. Steve's not here yet. I sent him the link. He might take till 4:45. Usually that's when he gets free. So should be here in about 10 minutes. His article, unfortunately, didn't get published on Seeking Alpha. He said he doesn't know what happened. Maybe he was too bullish and they didn't publish it. But he submitted it. It didn't get published yet. So it should be out over the weekend. But I would link it if they published it. But I guess we still got to wait until it gets published. So there you go. Why is Twilio down? They had a good earnings. I don't know exactly. I guess it was a guidance thing. Same thing with Trade Desk. By the way, did anyone buy the Trade Desk today? Did anyone like nibble into that dip? Twilio right here down about 20% on the day. Trade Desk, they had some tariff concerns, and that's why they were down. AppLovin was actually up. They're also an advertising company, but looks like their advertising revenues and their growth forecast was much greater than Trade Desk. That one was up about 4.2% on the day. Yeah, guidance and downgrades for both of those. Ian bought some Trade Desk. I see a couple of you guys bought some Trade Desk. I mean, look, stock down 40%. They just got into the S&P 500. It does feel weird that this one is down that much. Maybe there's alpha there, but it also did get downgraded across the entire board. NVIDIA right here, 182.67. Tesla 329. Palantir 187.30. And then Robinhood 114. Now, real quick on Robinhood, I did say I had some data right here on what Robinhood could look like. This is Josh, who has done a pretty accurate job. He's from the retail investing community. I will link his Twitter as well so people can check it out. But he did some analysis on the crypto volumes in Robinhood. He's been tracking it really since January. And as you can see right here, the July crypto numbers based on his analysis are showing that it's like Q1. Q1 was really good, but the take rates are higher. It's now on average like 30% higher. I've noticed it's like 0.85% versus 0.55%. So if this continues in August and September, which it's not supposed to, August is supposed to suck for Robinhood. I've looked at their earnings for the past 4 years. August is not good. September is also but August so far has been pretty decent, and maybe September continues. We're going to see. But if it even somewhat matches what we had in July, I mean, they're going to do a lot of money on crypto. It's going to be a very big increase quarter over quarter. And this matches management's guidance because management said on the earnings call, crypto is now at 6-month highs in terms of volumes for July. So Josh is saying, hey, 1.3 billion is not crazy to expect. The analysts are expecting 1 billion of revenue in Q3. If they can actually get above that, led by crypto, that would not be the worst thing in the world. And so we're going to have to see how that one ends up playing out going towards the end of this month. Cool. So again, SoundHound, this one also great day. This was up about 25%, and then BMNR, great. The only fear I have on BMNR is that they will dilute, and then this thing will tank. The thing is, though, they already have 800,000 Ethereum. So do they really need to dilute like now? You know, because they did a lot of dilution. They bought a lot of Ethereum realistically in the past couple. I mean, it was below its or very close to below its MNAV last week when it was at like 27, 28. So I don't know. Maybe they don't need to dilute anytime soon. And as a result, that's going to be okay for BMNR. And if they do dilute, maybe it'll happen earlier or later when the stock price is higher. So it's not going to be that big of a hit. Coinbase right here, 310 after hours. Microsoft 522. CoreWeave up a little bit. Palantir 187.38 after hours. And then the S&P 500 638.16. Why did Wendy's stock go down? I didn't even see Wendy's all day. Wendy's is up 1% on the day. I feel like Wendy's has earnings later in the cycle, so later in August. But Wendy's is down 40% for the year. So that one is down. When is the Miami meetup? I will put the form in the chat. If you signed up recently, you got an email from me about instructions to further sign up. We basically have, I would say, like 170 of the 250 spots filled. So if you really do want to come, just make sure you sign up on this form. I will send you an email this weekend, and yeah, you can sign up, and we will be in Miami August 23rd. Okay, cool. So Steve should be on in a bit. He might be a little bit more occupied in his meetings, but he should be on soon. And we're going to probably see dilution Monday. That would suck, dude. It would really suck, especially since it's done so well. Let's finish up with Tom Lee. This is what he ended up saying towards the end of his segment on BitMine, but also the broader valuation argument in this market.
The knock valuation, the knock speculation. What about the knock of concentration? NVIDIA has the biggest weight in the S&P 500 of any individual stock since 1981, since data was being collected. The largest 10% of U.S. stocks now account for 76% of total U.S. market cap. That's the highest concentration in history. The top 10 names in the S&P account for 40% of the index. Does that give you any pause?
I think when people cite these numbers, and I've also heard Max Myers say that like 2 stocks are bigger than like Tokyo's entire stock market.
Max is going to love the shout out, by the way.
Yeah.
Anyway, please go ahead.
That we have to think about the earnings contribution. NVIDIA is producing incremental earnings at a incremental margin that tells you it's an incredibly scarce company. They're not making enough chips, and they are the center of the AI revolution. So I'm not surprised it's the biggest stock. I think from an earnings growth contribution, it's so big that those previous measurements aren't accurate.
Okay. Last one. The consumer, not as great as everybody says. Brian Moynihan, Bank of America, comes on the network this week, has great things to say. I always say, don't listen to what people say they're going to do. Listen to what they actually do. And what they're doing is still spending money. Hugh Johnson, Disney, says, I know there's a lot of concern about the consumer. Well, we don't see it. Our consumer's doing very well. Under Armour, Crocs, Ralph Lauren, Pinterest, restaurant brands, Sweet Green, Wendy's, Chipotle, Jack in the Box, Yum Brands. I could go on and on even further than that, which might tell a little bit of a different story. So how do I square that?
Well, I think there's consumer preferences could be shifting, because you remember post-COVID, there was this boom in eating out and dining experiences. And we shouldn't say that that's a permanent change. And that's why you're seeing some of these. I don't think consumers are over levered. To me, that's the sign of a peak in consumers, because they can't amplify their spending. That's what the banks are going to tell you. And if you look at the Fed's debt service ratio, we're still below COVID levels. So
people keep saying delinquencies are going up, consumers stretched.
I think that, of course, at any moment there is, but really in aggregate, you can't get a levered consumer until you have a housing boom. So consumers might be on short-term credit, some of these being stressed, but that's very different than us actually peaking really from long-term credit borrowing in a binge.
So that's why you say we're going to hit 6,600 by year end on the S&P, or it's almost 64 now. That's not like a tremendous move from here.
Yeah, I mean, I think our year-end target is probably low, because I think we could do 6,600 this month. I think this is the month. Yeah, I think we're going to have a breakaway move in the S&P this month.
Even in what is a historically, not the best seasonal period for stocks. We know August is usually like a nothing burger, and then September is usually a reversal.
That's
negative.
Right. I think that's everyone's playbook, that August should be weak and September down. But precisely for that reason, with the economy being stronger than people realize, Bitcoin made a breakaway move on July 9th. It has led the S&P for the last 5 years by almost 1 month. So I think a breakaway upside move in the S&P is coming.
All right.
It might start tomorrow. Start next week. Yeah.
That's your call?
I would say that's our base case, yes.
Starts next week.
I can't give you the hour and the day.
You said it might start next week.
But that's 5 days.
You want to put yourself out there by all means.
Yeah, but I think it starts within the next week, yes.
Okay. Stay with us.
That's what you got from Tom Lee. So let's do a poll in the chat. There it is. What do you guys think? 5% on the S&P, up or down? What do we think? Next move on the S&P. It's hard to answer, right? Because you got to think we're at all-time highs. Maybe we take a breather. There's a lot of good news priced in. We need a wall of worry. We need a little bit of a pullback, a little bit of a dip. We did get that dip, 1.62% on August 1st, which made us all think August was going to be weak. It's now August 8th, and we are up healthily since that. Literally, we are up. Let's do the math exactly. We are up 2.7% from Friday, last Friday, when we had that 1.62% decline. So we recovered all of it and more, about 1% more. I don't know. Like, do we 5% up or down? 74% of you say up. 70. You know, the thing is, let's say it is down, right? Let's say it is down. So 5% down would be round about, right back to 602 on the S&P. Like, who's not buying that dip? I mean, that would take what? Robinhood back to 90, maybe Palantir back to, I don't even know what it would take Palantir to, maybe 155-ish, where it was right before earnings. Nvidia probably gets to 165, 170. I mean, everyone's buying that dip. Like it's institutional investors going to be very happy to get a chance to buy that dip. So like the problem is if we do get a 5% dip and everyone wants to buy it, it's really hard to get that 5% dip, which might just end up meaning that it's rather 5% to the upside. And as a result, I think that's how Tom Lee's kind of thinking of this as well. Doug says all-time highs are more likely to lead to all-time highs. That is also true. Every statistic that I've seen as well about the aggregation of all-time highs, once you get it, you might have some dips in between, but it's more likely to lead to more all-time highs. And speaking of dips, retail has been buying them. Take a look at this. Small investors, this is from the Financial Times, typically known in the US as mom and pop, are snapping up equities at exchange-traded funds at a record pace this year, surpassing that of 2021. These are the net inflows into US equities and ETF by retail investors. Folks, we are above 150 billion 8 months into the year. I mean, it's pretty incredible. It's pretty freaking incredible. The difference between this and 2021, which we've talked about for the past couple of weeks now, because I've been seeing frauds, signs of froth in the market with Open Door and all this stuff, is that those things that are frothy in its own sector. It's like, okay, Open Door and Krispy Kreme can go be Open Door Krispy Kreme, but Nvidia and Meta are going to keep being Nvidia and Meta. And so at its core, it's like, yeah, there's a little bit of froth. There's definitely the fart coins of the world, all this stuff. But that froth is just froth that's over there. We're not talking about Meta being worth like 6 trillion or something, which when Meta was worth 1 trillion back in 2021, it basically should have been, you could assume that's like 6 trillion, 5 trillion, because there was no way in hell Meta in 2021 should have been worth 1 trillion. It made no sense, right? Meta didn't have the earnings growth to be able to justify that by any sense of the imagination. And so in 2025, when you see the earnings growth from these companies, the companies that matter, it's hard to say they don't deserve a premium and that it's similar to 2021. I will agree there is froth based on Open Door and all that stuff, but that is not wrecking the entire market. That is just, a part of the market. By the way, speaking of Open Door, here is the leader of this Open Door movement, Eric Jackson, and here is his response to what happened on the earnings 2 days ago.
It's just no vision. And I guess probably the most offensive thing is, listen, this in the last 3 weeks, there's been a retail fervor around this company. Okay. This stock was 51 cents on June 21st. And I don't know, a couple of Tuesdays ago, the thing traded 2 billion shares and it just about touched $5. So basically 10x'd in 3 weeks. And then it got halted there was some mysterious Nasdaq volatility halt for 13 minutes. And then after it reopened, the stock pulled back a bit. But basically this renewed retail interest, something that a company like Palantir fully embraces, allows this company that has gone down from like $39 all-time high to 51 cents a few weeks ago to cancel their 50-to-1 reverse stock split because the stock traded above $1 for more than 10 days. So they announced that last Friday. And then Carrie gives an interview to Bloomberg magazine, not in person, to a magazine in print. And basically her comment was, when asked about, what do you think about all this retail love, Carrie, for your company? Her response was, I didn't have that on my bingo card for 2025. And now the important thing is that we have to harvest this retail interest into, customer business. And, immediately on, among the Twitter followers that I have who are also open shareholders, the response was like, what are we, organ donors? Harvest. And we haven't heard a word since Harvest. She didn't do any media yesterday. I don't know any CEO of any major technology company that doesn't the next day go out on the hustings and do any media interview they can to kind of defend what they're doing.
Okay, so apparently Carrie, the CEO of Open Door, just responded with this long tweet. I'm not going to read it. I am going to use GPT-5 for the first time. So this is my first time using this. Please summarize in 5 bullet points what this tweet says. All right, let's see. Wow, this was pretty quick. That was pretty quick. I'm not gonna lie, that was pretty quick. Hold on, let me do that with Grok. I want to see how quick that was, dude. That was, oh, I didn't have a chance to take a breath for that. I'm gonna do the exact same thing. And let's see. You guys saw that in front of me, how quick that was. Let's see if Grok can do the same. All right, we're gonna do Grok. Is this on Grok 4? Am I on Grok 4? Yeah, expert Grok 4. Okay, here we go. I'm gonna say the same exact thing. Let's see. No, it's not as quick. That's the, where's the answer? I got that in less than a millisecond on ChatGPT. Grok is still waiting. All right, we're going to ChatGPT. Here we go. So, increased investor attention. Opendoor CEO expresses gratitude for new shareholders, embracing the idea that a meme moment can also mean long-term believers in the company's vision. New initiatives. Recently launched 2 key offerings, open the platform to agents and introducing Cash Plus. Technology-driven growth. The company is doubling down on its proprietary data, AI. Operational focus. Acknowledges current housing market challenge. Shareholder engagement. Plans to improve communication. It's almost like she just said what they said on the press release. Do you think she actually said anything that will make shareholders feel comfortable holding the stock since it's down so much? Let's see. Wow, that's quick, bro. That's really quick. Like that's quick enough for me to start using ChatGPT over Grok. I'm sorry. That's just like that's very quick, bro. Holy crap. Honestly, while the tone is upbeat and appreciative, there's not much in her message that gives hard confidence building evidence to shareholders worried about the stock drop. That's also the first time I've felt an answer from ChatGPT that kind of sounds like a human. Here's why. Mostly qualitative, not quantitative. She talked about her vision, new products, and company culture. No concrete turnaround timeline. Focus on long-term story. Acknowledge challenges, but stayed vague. Feels like an internal morale boost. There you go. That's what we got from ChatGPT. Let's go back and see what Eric also had to say for this.
She's been silent. The board's been silent. She has to go.
We're talking with Eric Jackson, founder and president of the Toronto-based hedge fund EMJ Capital, who, as you know, as you are listeners to this show and watchers, that he has in the past encouraged folks to buy this company. I also do want to mention a headline crossing. President Trump expected to make an announcement on the.
The company was floundering, and they looked around and they said, "Here's the CFO. Let's bump her up to CEO," and she has cleaned up a lot of mess. That is true. So the problem is that this company now is sort of poised to be this Carvana platform company for real estate moving forward. And what does that mean to be a platform company? It means they got to go into a bunch of additional businesses around the core iBuying business. And that's something that Carrie has stepped on the gas a little bit in terms of new product initiatives, but they have to do more. And then the big question is, though, or the big wild card that could really jolt the stock is basically taking all their data from over 10 years that they have on the US real estate market and turn that into $1 billion revenue business in a few years from now, which they probably can't do alone. They need to do it with a partner like a Palantir or an OpenAI. By the way, where a lot of good machine learning.
I don't know if Palantir or OpenAI get this stock to 82. I don't know if that's what helps them out.
Opendoor people have migrated to and are now working OpenAI, or they have to partner with a Grok. And I don't think Carrie, as a finance person, really understands AI, understands tech. So my critique, Carol, is, hey, she was fine for the last 2.5 years, great, but to really 100x this company, to really make the most of the opportunity in front of them, you can't have John Scully running this company. It's got to be more of a Steve Jobs product person, tech person who really can kind of see the vision, like Ernie Garcia.
I don't think Opendoor's management is going to listen to this guy and kick out their CEO to try to find the Steve Jobs of Opendoor. Like, I just don't think that's happening. Since the beginning, this felt fishy. It felt like there wasn't any substance there. And it seems like that's what's playing out. All right, you guys set to try Gemini. This is 2.5 Gemini. I'm pasting the exact same thing I did into Grok and ChatGPT. And let's see what we get. Oh, that was pretty quick. Wasn't as quick as GPT, but that was pretty quick. That was pretty quick. Now, maybe Grok was slow because I was using Grok 4. I mean, if I use Grok 3, it'll probably be quicker. But the reasoning of Grok 4 is what Elon was saying is the most important, but it was just pretty slow compared to it. So, I mean, if we use Grok 3, let me change to Grok 3, see if that happens here. Yeah, I mean, it's relatively quick. It doesn't have the reasoning capability. So then the question becomes, is Grok 3 better than GPT-5 at just giving the response? And I don't know. I got to do more tests to kind of see if that's the case. But the reasoning part of Grok 4, that is slow. That is pretty damn slow. Yeah, Grok is ideal for scraping X. And I pay for Grok. I don't pay for ChatGPT. So that's why I want Grok to be good, because that's the one that I pay for. In terms of Grok's response, this is what they said right there. Open Door CEO expresses gratitude for recent investor interest. Welcome in the meme moment. Let me ask the same follow-up question that I asked to ChatGPT. Do you think she actually said anything meaningful? Doesn't feel as human as the first sentence. I mean, that Sam Altman has a point when they were talking about it feels like you're talking to a human, which is kind of the key of making these things personal assistants. Because, imagine you actually had a personal assistant. It's a really long answer too, compared to GPT, which was summed up in a much quicker way. But the point is all these models are getting really damn good. And at some point, there's not going to be any difference between the models. But right now, they're going for first mover advantage to see which ones are going to win. Dude, I have Perplexity Comet, but I just don't use it enough. I need to make that part of my workflow and see if it actually makes me more productive. But I just don't use it enough to say it's helping out. Tom Lee just responded with a laughing emoji to my tweet right here. This is him with the dancers, and you got Ethereum instead of their face. Someone did a Grok Imagine out of this. This is what it turned dude, Grok Imagine. It's this new thing by Elon where you have the video the picture come to life. It is crazy, bro. Absolutely crazy that is happening. I think Elon said 44 million Grok Imagine pictures were posted yesterday. So it is stemming up. Okay, Steve said, sorry, I'm still at work. So I asked him, are you good at 5 or should we cancel? He hasn't responded yet. So I will let you know what he says. But I don't know. We're going to have to see. Dude, he was on a work call yesterday at 9:30. So his job is a bit more demanding. Might not be able to make it today. We're going to see. In the meantime, let me show you guys this as well. This was pretty interesting. These are the most traded options, or at least the 20 most traded options in the stock market today. Steve needs to retire. Dude, I've been telling him. He could retire. He just loves working. He could retire and do Seeking Alpha full time and start a YouTube channel. And he has enough investments to but he loves working too. Here we go. Apple, 4 million contracts that have been traded today. 4 million, dude. Tesla was at 3.7. NVIDIA was at 2.9. Palantir was number 4, 1.2. And then AMD at 1.2 as well. Google, 962. Strategy, 884. Robinhood, 800,000. SoundHound was up there, 734. TTD, 719. Marathon, 569. Amazon, 552. Ethereum, 427. CoreWeave, 416. And then you have Rigetti, iBit, Google, SMCI, Meta, and BMNR at 351,000 contracts. That is showing you the options market is lighting up for some of these Ethereum treasuries as well. It's pretty incredible. BMNR covered calls printing 10% on a 5-week time frame. Dude, people are willing to pay massive premiums because the volatility is good, because one day BMNR could go up 20% like it did today. And so the covered calls get screwed. The call buyers win. Robinhood 115 after hours, Palantir 187.40. But that is also why they're willing to pay those types of premiums. Steve works at, it's not, I don't even fully understand the company he works at, but it's a conglomerate in New York. And it's a smaller company. It's like a $300 million company. It's not like some massive corporation or anything. But he's basically the chief of staff underneath the CEO. So he's like one step away from C-suite. And so he's constantly working and in meetings with lawyers and all. He's one of their chief negotiators as well. So he closes all their big contracts with their vendors. And so he's constantly traveling around New York. That just requires a lot more work. It's a dairy farm. Oh my gosh. Could you imagine that's where he ends up working one day? a dairy farm. Yeah, SoundHound's volume today was also pretty wild. SoundHound, wow, 205 million shares were traded today of SoundHound. S&P inclusion is not today. It is not today. I mean, if it does happen in 15 minutes, we'll know. But from everything I looked at, there is no S&P inclusion today. So we're not going to see any inclusions. We'll get in, dude. Where Hood's going to get in. It's becoming undeniable at this point. Now it would become like there would be too much backlash if Hood doesn't get in. So next rebalance, you can't have end phase inside of the S&P and Robinhood's not there. Like, it'll happen. It might just take some time, but I do think it'll happen. Victor, thank you for the $50 super chat. Means a ton. Amit, as we, the retail investors, continue to grow in size and relevance in the market pace, the more important your YouTube channel becomes. It is priceless to many of us. God bless you, and see you in Miami, Poppy. Victor, thank you. Appreciate it. I was looking for some Miami outfits. I'm still trying to figure out. I'm going for a Scarface type of vibe, and I really do want to make it a dope outfit. So we're going to see what we can come up with. But yeah, no, I appreciate it. Thank you for being here. I think the channel is growing because the community is, a big part of it. People that come onto the channel, give their thoughts, their opinion. By the way, Jose was at the beach with his kids today, so he forgot he was at the beach. That's why he couldn't make the show today, but he'll be on Monday. And yeah, dude, it's a community-led effort. I'm just here to try to share my perspectives while amalgamating all those perspectives from a lot of the data that I look like. So it's not really just my bias, but rather my LLM of condensing old stock market data. Bring it to everybody and get to have some fun in the process while we're doing it. So I appreciate it, Victor. Thank you so much for that super chat. Dude, I want to do all white in Miami. Yeah, I want to do Tony Montana. I want to have like a dope outfit in Miami. But we got to see. Yeah, see, look, this is what I mean by Eric Jackson and this Open Door stuff. Look at what he just tweeted. Just had a call with a large Korean investor. There's a lot of interest in Korea and Open Door and on pressuring this board to fulfill our vision to get this stock to 200. Stay tuned. I'm like, what is this, bro? Like, what is this nonsense? This is just garbage to me. Like, wow, Korea likes Open Door. Like, what? Like, this is not how you build a community, bro. This is not how you build a community. This is just, it's just pumping it, dude. Remember, this guy sold at 497 or 490 is the price he sold at. He admitted he sold at 490 for some of his clients. Not all of his shares, but for some of his clients, they sold shares. If you think it's going to 82, what the hell are you doing selling at 490? And then he said, oh, it's my fiduciary duty. It's like, well, wait a second. I thought the fiduciary duty was to make people money. And if you can't convince your clients that have trusted you and are paying you management fees to hold on to a stock, but you want to convince everyone else in Korea to hold on to it, get out of here, bro. Like, what are we talking about? What are we talking about? It's not real. Not to mention the guy said, hey, join my private group so that we can find the next 100x and pay my monthly subscription. Then he deleted that tweet because it looked like he was literally pumping something before he would announce a stock, which, the SEC, there's certain things you just can't say. The SEC lets people get away with a lot of stuff, but there's certain things where it's so obvious you're trying to pump and dump, the SEC comes knocking on your door. And so it's weird too, because this guy is not, like, from my understanding, he's not known to be a scammer or a grifter or anything. Like, he has not had the most successful hedge fund over the past couple of years, but he's not like a scammer or grifter. But this just fully feels like scamming and grifting. And that's why I think this community or this story is just not real. Not to mention Open Door margins aren't real either. It's like 6%, growing 4%, not profitable. Like, there's just nothing there from a fundamental perspective, at least not what I'm seeing. Doug says, I'm doing an homage to Vlad's outfit from the Catch a Token event at the Miami meetup. Dude, that's going to be good. Vlad looked like a boss at that crypto event in France. So yeah, it'll be cool. Miami should be cool. I did not buy Open Door at 497. I think, Austin said Open Door is the best IQ test we've had in a long time. And it's like, look, I get it if people chased it because everyone wants to chase, but it's tough, man. Like, at 497, there was a 30% decline within 10 minutes. And it was just like, if you got there, now this thing has to double just for the anyone to break even who bought anything above $4. It's not easy. It's not easy for that to happen. I'm not going to interview him, bro. I'm not going to have him on the channel. I think he would. I think people have messaged me that says he's willing to come on the channel. I'm like, I don't want to talk to the guy. Like, what are we going to talk about? And if he does come on the channel, I would say, why did you sell Open Door for your clients? Like, dude, if there was a real fundamental thesis, I would care and I would look into it. I don't see the fundamental thesis at all. And I know this uniquely because I was thinking of buying Open Door when it was $1.20 back in December. Steve, Chris, and I had a full-on call discussing DD. And even Steve was thinking about it for a second because we were thinking rate cuts. All right, this is $1. They have 800 million in cash, but like we were going through the same rabbit hole he went through. And then we realized, wait, this company can't make money. There's no money. And there's no attempt to make money because the margins aren't getting better. And then if rate cuts are delayed, which guess what? They've been delayed by 9 months. Then where's the alpha? So it's kind of just hard to see that playing out. Scared of him taking your followers? No, that is not. Trust me, that is. I'm not. Dude, this is what people forget. People have such a scarcity mindset when it comes to content. Like, there's millions and millions of people on YouTube and Twitter that could join your channel or watch your content, follow your tweets. You don't have to be scarce about, oh, this is my audience. This is like, you know, Tanner and I don't have that type of relationship. Tanner and I are very collaborative. We're not really competitive. Like, because there's not that many people constantly live streaming every single day. And at this point, Tanner does it Monday through Friday, even though he doesn't do it twice a day. But like, you know, there's not a lot of people that do this. So you want to share strategies and tips and all that. You don't want to be competitive with people, especially when you're friends with them. So that's why I liked it. That's why Tanner's actually like a friend. We've never had a feeling of, oh, he's stealing my audience, I'm stealing. No, it's like we want each other's audiences to benefit from us. So I don't care if Eric Jackson, if you guys follow Eric Jackson because he's on my show. I mean, I just gave him a bunch of, you know, we just watched this video. I just showed his tweet. I just think he's going to say Open Door to 82. And I'm going to be like, wait a second, you're full of shit. And that's the problem. It just feels like there's nothing real here. Yeah, Google 200. Google finally made a move today, which is very nice to see. Dude, Apple, to me, is more impressive. I mean, Google, I think we all knew eventually would get over 200, but Apple making that run to 230. And now I think Cook is going to feel some pressure on what to do with the money, the $100 billion they have in cash outside of just buybacks. They did have a good quarter just now. Can they make an acquisition or make a move that changes everything? By the way, Steve hasn't texted me back, so, I mean, we'll stay live and we'll see if he joins, but if he doesn't text me back in like the next 10 minutes, then he's probably not going to be able to make it today. It's what happens with work. It's what happens with work. It gets in the way sometimes. Okay, guys, let me just address this real quick for everyone mentioning Chris in the chat. So I haven't talked to Chris since he put out that tweet outside of me just telling him, you know, how I didn't like the tweet. And he told me that he's going to do whatever he does. And I said, okay, it is what it is. Right. So he did delete the tweet. I noticed last night. So I think to some extent he realized the tweet was not the most appropriate tweet and he deleted it. In terms of the 25,000 challenge, look, I said that as a literal joke. I said that as a literal, hey, I bet you 25 grand Palantir is not going to $40, right? But then he made it official. I don't care about this bet. In fact, I don't think it's necessarily healthy to have a bet between friends of that magnitude. You know, if it was like $10, whatever, 25,000 is aggressive. And the reason it's aggressive is because I said it hyperbolically because of how confident I am that I don't think Palantir is going to get there. Not that I actually wanted to make a bet with my friend for 25,000. So I haven't talked to him about the bet, but I really don't care about the bet. I don't need $25,000 in 5 years on Palantir not getting back to 50. I'd be more than happy to just get rid of the bet. Like, I don't care about 25 grand. So from my perspective, I mean, I'll eventually talk to him about it, but from my perspective, the bet's off. I don't need that overhang over us over the next 5 years. So yeah, that's how I'm thinking about it. I don't think it's that big of a deal. I think we can just forget about this. It's not that serious. But I'd rather not have like a toxic bet in between friends, especially because if Palantir keeps going up, like, and there's this 25K overhang, like it's just stupid, right? Like even when we made the bet, it was just two guys being stupid. So I don't really want to engage in this bet anymore, especially because you guys are going to keep bringing it up, which I also don't want to put the pressure on Chris either. But he did delete the tweet. And I didn't talk to him about deleting the tweet. I never told him to delete the tweet. I just said, hey, it looks really bad. The subtone of what I said was, hey, you should probably delete the tweet, but I didn't explicitly say it because I'm not forcing anyone to do anything. But he deleted it yesterday, and I guess maybe he felt the tweet wasn't good. And again, I talked about it the past couple of days. I just think it was a little bit of a low blow for something that was not that serious, but it is what it is. It was a tweet about him saying Karp has a watch that's expensive and Karp says he's a socialist, so there's a contradiction, right? That was the extent of the tweet. And yeah, the point is, I just didn't think it was appropriate, especially because I've met Karp, decent amount of times now. I know people like Iliano and Chad that are very close to Alex Karp. I've heard how they talk about Karp. Karp's a very, very humble and charitable person. Karp's not very public about that stuff, but from my understanding of him, by talking to many employees that worked at Palantir for the past 20 years, Karp is the only person they would work for ever. So, you could have whatever opinion you want about him, but saying he wears a watch, it's too much of a low blow for no reason. So, yeah, I didn't think it was appropriate, but he deleted it. I don't know what he's going to address in the future about it. I still think he fundamentally hates the valuation and stuff, and that's fine. You can hate the valuation. It is what it is. But I think the personal attacks were not the most appropriate. But the point is, I don't want to have this bet because I think this bet is stupid now. Because in the next 5 years, I don't see Palantir going to 50, but the fact that there's any bet for me being right or him being wrong, it's not worth 25,000 to constantly wonder about this thing going up or down. So those are my thoughts on that. Yeah, and also, I do agree with Doug right here, guys. We do have to kind of chill out on some of the Chris hate. I get it. I understand why people were upset about the tweet. I would be upset about the tweet as well. I understand he came off as someone who was very aggressive and mean and just didn't seem to appreciate anything around Palantir. I get it, but it's also been a couple days. There doesn't need to be this much aggression against him for no reason. At the end of the day, he's still my friend. He's still one of the reasons why I've learned about investing in the first place. I think my thing is he just had a bad moment. That's it. We all have bad moments. I've had bad moments in life. You guys have probably had bad moments. Unfortunately, Chris and I are public, so we will have some public bad moments, and it is what it is. You're going to have some bad moments. We're human beings at the end of the day. Human beings are emotional. Human beings will go back and forth, and those emotions will spur in a bunch of different directions. It'll lead to making stupid decisions. I've been there plenty of times. This was one that I think was not the best one for Chris. And I think the fact that the tweet was deleted, again, I have not talked to him since he posted the tweet outside of what I told him. I think he basically acknowledged, yeah, the tweet was stupid and deleted. Now, he didn't publicly say the tweet was stupid. He didn't publicly apologize, which I really do think would make things okay if he just says, yeah, it was a stupid tweet. I shouldn't have tweeted that. I don't know if he would do that. But the fact that he deleted it to me is an acknowledgement of, hey, I probably shouldn't have posted that. So those are my thoughts. No, I'm not going to call Chris right now. Not going to call Chris right now. I don't think Chris wants to be on the show. I don't think he wants to talk. But yeah, I get why you guys were upset. I understand. It came off as if he was being a jerk. He was being a narcissist. He was having a big ego. I totally understand that. That's what I told him. Dude, it does not look good. His perspective, for whatever reason he wanted to go off on Karp having a watch, is a different perspective. I think the deletion of the tweet, even without acknowledging why he deleted it, is basically submitting to the fact that it was not an appropriate thing to do. But that doesn't mean we have to be aggressive in the chat against him. That's just not, he's a human being at the end of the day. So I don't think that's worth it. All right. Steve has not responded to me. Let's call Steve, though. Let's see if this guy picks up. He's probably in a meeting. It's probably going to go straight to voicemail. Let's see. Oh, he's letting it ring. Wow, he's letting it ring. Yeah, you can only be aggressive towards Amit in the chat. Exactly. I'm the only one you can be aggressive to. Can you call Elon? I cannot. But can someone get Elon to finally... Has been forwarded. See, he's not picking up. Still at work. Okay, so I'm just going to... All right, guys, it's canceled. He's still at work. He's not going to be able to make it. No worries. We'll do it on Sunday. Cool. All right, yeah, Steve can't make it. It happens. He's at work. But can someone get Elon to follow me? Because he liked, I didn't tell you guys, he liked my tweet on Monday when I said I was at the car wash and I was talking to someone with FSD. He responded last night. He reposted my video in February, or in May. Can you just give me the follow? Like, I've been waiting all year, but he has not responded to me. He responded to Meet Kevin today. Let me see what Elon said. But yes, I agree with I'm beneficial. I am the only one who people should be aggressive to in the chat, because it's my stream, and quite frankly, it's actually very humorous to me to see the different ways you guys can come up with roasting me. Like, it's actually quite incredible, dude. It actually really is incredible. And so I should be the only one. I don't see the Elon response to me, Kevin. I don't see it in his responses. But I need him to finally follow me. It's been too long. Ask him. No, you can't ask them to follow you, dude. It's got to be natural. It's got to be natural. It's got to be like, him just seeing a nice post and he's like, all right, I'm going to follow that guy. But it hasn't happened yet. JS, thank you for the 14 super chat. Convince Steve to post on Twitter and use subs instead of Seeking Alpha. He'll get more reach. Seeking Alpha leaves much to be desired. Also, Chris is a G. Heat of the moment. Yes, totally agree with that. Steve, I've been telling him to use Twitter all year, and he has more than 10,000 followers now. He's just not. He likes writing and then posting. He doesn't like these short little tweets. I mean, people think Twitter is easy, bro. It's not easy to make a piece of content that actually grabs people's attention within a certain amount of characters. And then if you're long form, how can you make it so that's readable? There is an art to it. And Steve just doesn't care enough about it, But I do agree. If he kind of spent more time on Twitter, that would be really good for his growth as well. But I think he's one of the only people I read on Seeking Alpha. There's not a lot of good content on that platform, and Steve has the best. I've been telling him they need to give him a deal. They need to pay him $500,000 a year and just have him exclusive. Right? But Seeking Alpha will never do. Seeking Alpha doesn't do that because they see the writers as just pawns inside of their website that they can just replace here and there. And I'm like, dude, the website is filled with such trash. There's only, I would say, maybe 10 authors that are good on Seeking Alpha. Everything else is just pure nonsense. Literally, some of these articles, they're 4 paragraphs long, and you're like, why did I just read this? Who approved this? Steve, I think, is up there as probably the best writer on Seeking Alpha, who can actually write in depth about a company with numbers and data, and he can add his opinion, but it's backed by facts and his perspectives. Seeking Alpha doesn't give those types of deals. I may have been on vacation for a while, but what do you think about Lululemon? I like them. I don't know if the stock is attractive here. They had some tariff concerns. I know it's down a lot for the year. Roy was in it as a swing trade because he said his daughter loves Lululemon, and a lot of her friends shop there. I think his daughter's 15 years old. I don't know. I wouldn't buy it here. I just when I think of Lululemon, and then I think of the AI opportunities that exist. Would I buy Lululemon's a $21 billion company? Will I buy Lululemon or Nebius at $15 billion? I'd rather buy Nebius. Even though Lululemon's business is probably easier to understand, but I just think some of these AI plays have so much more opportunities from an interest perspective that it's harder to get excited for some of the stocks that are beat up. But it is, objectively, it feels cheap. And it's down a lot today. Or not today, but over the past couple months. What happened to the daily recap summit? I will be bringing that back when I move out. I just first of all, I could not do them at all in the month of June and July because my grandparents were home, and it was impossible to do 2 streams and record a video and spend time with my grandparents. So definitely sacrificed that part of the channel for spending time with my grandparents. And now I'm just busy moving out. There's a trillion things every single day I have to get done in terms of finalizing the move. But once I move out and I'm officially at home, we will get the daily recaps back on the channel. I really do love doing them. It does take about an hour and a half of sitting down, recording, and kind of just have so much stuff moving around to do them. Did Roy just tweet about Lululemon? Really? Did he? Dude, literally a minute ago. Roy, are you in the chat? Are you listening? He says, one of the things I learned last cycle is the importance of setting targets for trades. Why? I'm mostly 90% a long-term investor, but trade for fun. It's far easier to identify quality companies, buy them, and let them work for you. For trades, you have to set a maximum loss limit you're comfortable with. Otherwise, what was once a trade can become a long-term position. For Lululemon, I think the company will be okay, but I hit my max loss limit a couple weeks ago, which saved me a lot of pain, not bag holding here. Okay, so he's out. He's out of the trade. He is out of the trade. So Roy said, I'm done. I'm not in this. All right, so he liked it, but not enough to stay in long-term right here. Are you keeping the brick wall? I don't even know yet, dude. I'm gonna see my actual apartment. I get the keys on Monday, but I'm not moving in for like another 2 weeks. So I'm gonna see it on Monday, and then I'm gonna actually see like I've seen the apartment already, like the model of it, but I haven't like seen my official one. So we're gonna see if a brick wall or a different type of view is better. But yeah, maybe bricks, maybe not. I love the bricks, but I kind of just want there to be something new, bro, because we've had the bricks for like 2 years at this point. So we got to see. And I want you guys to be part of it. So if you guys hate it, we'll do something different, but we'll see what we'll do for this one. Aaliyah, do you have a list of your meetups for the rest of the year? We're definitely doing Miami in August. Again, I'll put the link in the chat for those that want to sign up for that. We will do New York again in November. I was going to do LA in September, but September already has so much traveling that it's going to be hard. I do think we should be able to do Vegas in October, unless there's an international trip in October that would derail me from doing Vegas, which potentially could happen. Very tentative, but there might be something happening in October. But realistically, Miami, New York, those are confirmed. And then, hopefully Vegas again in October. I really want to do LA, dude. Maybe we do LA in December. LA, it's a lot in September, dude. Like, it's very hard to set that up for September. But I know a lot of people are in LA. Hopefully no noisy neighbors. Yeah. I mean, I wonder, most of the people in that apartment complex, from my understanding, are like in my age. So it's one of those areas where, I mean, you do have some young families and stuff, but I think most people are around that late 20s, mid 30s range. So hopefully people don't get that mad if I ring the bell every morning. My take on Eli Lilly, I'm not sure about their drug pipeline. I didn't really go through the earnings, but obviously the guidance around their weight loss drug was not the best. Again, I just think there's better AI opportunities than a lot of these names. Like, this was Steve's point a couple of days ago. He's like, why would you buy Coca-Cola? Why would you buy Pepsi? Why would you buy Procter & Gamble? Like, there's so many amazing opportunities that are growing so fast. I mean, as investors, we need growth. We need companies to grow. Grab is growing EBITDA margins at 70, or they're growing EBIT at 70%. They're growing top line revenue at 25%. Like, they're growing EPS at 100%. They're growing. That's what you want to see. And Eli Lilly, although there is some growth, there are issues with the type of growth given the GLP stuff. And Novo's kind of dealing with the same thing. And then pharmaceuticals in general, I just don't understand the business models as well as I need to. So same thing with Epcellera. Like, I love that a lot of people are interested in Epcellera, but I don't understand biotechs as well as I need to. And so when Arnie gives us some DD, I think I'll have a better understanding of it. But for me, it's just a hard business to kind of get behind when I don't understand the long-term thesis around it. Or if there's a long-term thesis, then there's not much to analyze in the day-to-day price action of it. But yeah, Eli Lilly, not the most exciting. Thanks for your answer on buying Duolingo instead. Dude, Duolingo is getting such a bad rap for no reason. Like, I don't get it. Like, GPT-5 is not killing these guys. It is so stupid why this thing is down 5%. But hopefully it does go higher. Amit's hyena laugh is about to echo through the whole apartment complex. That would be pretty funny. That would be pretty funny. I think the walls are soundproof. I would imagine, like, I'm paying enough rent to hopefully have soundproof, thick walls that are not going to have an issue. Shout out to the person who just tagged Elon Musk. He said, Elon Musk, can I kindly ask you to follow Amit? Shout out to Conviction Lab, who just tweeted that. That's hilarious. Imagine Elon follows just by seeing that. I don't want to say how much my rent is, bro. I'm not going to say how much it is, but it's enough to make you think that the walls will be soundproof, hopefully. So, Laura says, I work in the field and I don't understand how it can be profitable. Yeah, I mean, Epsilon is really not going for profitability right now. They're going for like a massive platform play. They're similar to Ginkgo Bioworks. It's just these things take time, you know? It's kind of funny, dude. Arnie and I both agreed on Palantir and Hood. And then I guess our third album, his is Epsilon, I would say. Mine's is Grab. Hasn't worked yet. So it's kind of interesting. It's like both of us, like on that third album, are struggling to see, can we get people to listen to our third album? Can we get the market to recognize the value of our third one? And both of us are kind of just putting it out there. It's hard to find a Hood and a Palantir, bro. It's hard to find it. You know what I wish I made my third album? I wish I made my third album Rocket Lab. Because this guy right here told me about it at $4. And I could have hopped. I mean, it would have always been Matt Money's album, but I could have been a much bigger contributor to the album. And this was what? June 2024. Here's the live stream. Rocket Lab was $4.50. And we talked about it. And we discussed it. And if SpaceX's TAM is like a couple trillion, like, do you think that's where the deep under, like, I guess the question is, why do you think it's undervalued right now?
I think the way I look at it,
I'll link it right here, but whatever he said after that was right, because it went on to freaking 10x after that. So there you go. There you go. Apartment walls are never soundproof. Dude, these apartment walls better be soundproof. This is too much damn rent to not have it soundproof. People always doubt the third album, but then it becomes a classic. Yeah, dude, the third album's the hardest, bro. Like the third album, it's like the third album, people are because like when I think of music like Drake, right? Thank Me Later, one of the best albums I think of his entire discography, 2010. Crushed it, great. All right. Drake's the rapper. He's like, people believe in Drake as a hip-hop artist. Then you got Take Care. Take Care, legendary album. I don't care what anyone says. It is absolutely a classic album. And quite frankly, changed hip hop. And then you had Nothing Was the Same, which to me is probably his best, most concise piece of work, but people didn't think he could do it 3 times. People really didn't think he could do it 3 times, but he did. And then he had Views, which was, well, actually he had If You're Reading This Is Too Late, which I thought was just amazing as well, but that was a mixtape, not an album. Views was the 4th album, not as good as the previous 3. And then since then, the quality has just been, you know, not the best. But my argument here is that as a stock picker, the quality shouldn't degrade over time. The quality should get better because as a musician, you're creating art and you're talking about your life. Well, at some point, you've said everything you had to say about your life, right? So like, what more can you say? How more can you entertain people about whatever you're doing and your love life or all this type of stuff, right? It gets boring. It gets repetitive. The beats get similar. And so the fact that Drake's been successful for the past 15 years is just amazing to see. But the quality has come down. With stock picking, you should, I mean, it's going to be hard to find the next Palantir, next Robinhood. But theoretically, you should learn so much from finding winners. I'm linking Matt's Twitter right there for those that want to follow him. That you should be able to find winners after those winners. It doesn't mean you're going to guarantee to be right. But the lessons of like a Palantir and a Hood, for example, founder-led companies. I mean, like Anthony Tan, Grab, founder, like that already is a big part for me. Like I want the company to be led by a founder. There's just a different level of execution when you have someone who gave up their entire life to build the company versus a Kerry Wheeler installed an open door as a suit. It's different. There's like a big difference. So there's certain takeaways like that. It doesn't guarantee you're going to be right, but you should get better over time. You shouldn't like get worse as a stock picker, especially if you're, you know, constantly involved in the markets and you're looking at opportunities. And there's always a different stock. There's always a stock that's out there. I mean, think of how many names. I mean, put some in the chat that I'm probably forgetting about. But Nebius, big opportunity this year. Oscar, I know it's only at 15, but this thing was at like 11. I mean, that's not a horrible return a couple months ago, and it did get to 23. Obviously, Rocket Lab exploded this year. Palantir Robinhood exploded this year. Lemonade, great this year. BMNR, yeah. ASTS, dude, incredible. Was at like $20. Now it's at freaking, oh, it's actually down today, 2%, but it was at 55 at one point. Oklo, that thing exploded, dude. Look at this freaking chart. It's actually ridiculous. Like, look at the max chart on this. $5 in September 2024. Like, AMD was at 70. I mean, CoreWeave IPO, Bitcoin, Ethereum itself in the past couple months. AppLovin. I mean, a lot of stuff during the April crash, but there were so many retail names. D-Wave, Rigetti, SoundHound. I mean, and materials. I mean, my point is there's always a name that's out there. It's about your ability to find it. And that's what makes you really good at this industry, in this industry. But it's really hard to find it. It's real, Joby. It's really hard to find it. And the other thing that's hard is staying with the conviction, even when everyone says you're crazy, right? Like that's even harder. Like, look, let me show you. There was this dude. There was this whale. This is exactly kind of my point right here. There was this whale that you can track with the blockchain address. He sold Ethereum at 3,600 2 days ago for 19.8 million. Then he bought it today at 38.28. So how much is that? About $200 of a difference for 12.85 million. If he had just waited 2 days, he would have captured about $20 million of gains. But like, you know, it happens. Like, you lose conviction sometimes, and you're playing with a lot of money, you know, you get in and out of these. So like holding the thesis strong is also really tough because there's going to be some thesis challenging moments, and you've got to stick through it. At least if you want the long-term potential of what the name could do. So I'm not moving to Hoboken. No, I'm moving to Jersey City. I'm not moving to New York either. So I like Jersey City more than Hoboken because Jersey City is closer to at least the certain parts of the city that I want to be near. Jersey City also, I think Jersey City has a better nightlife than Hoboken. Hoboken is a good nightlife, but Jersey City, I think, has a better one. Realistically, though, everyone just goes to New York for their nightlife. So, but I've always wanted to live in that area, so I am excited to be in that area. It'll be fun, dude. It'll be cool. It'll definitely be a brand new experience, but I don't know. We'll see. I haven't lived on my own since big grinder population in that area. I haven't lived on my own since college, but I lived on my own for 4 years in college. So it's been a while, but I'm excited for it. I think it should be fun. Yes, I'm leaving my parents' basement, my mom's basement. No one can say on Twitter. Dude, every time someone's mad at me on Twitter, they're like, yeah, but you live in your mom's basement. I'm like, is that supposed to be is that a diss? Like what do you, like, yes, like I live with my parents at 27. Okay. Like, it's so fun. Dude, sometimes when people want to like, they'll just say that. I was like, okay, does that make you feel better? Like, but I'm excited. I'm excited for it. Means you're financially responsible. Yeah, I mean, look, I have nothing against people that move out early. I just I didn't feel the need to. And I already lived on my own in college. So I kind of had fun in college and was able to like live on my own stuff. And the last 5 years, I've been figuring it out, doing a bunch of different things. Now it's, you know, in a better position to actually move out. But I think it's going to be fun, bro. I think it's going to be fun. It's going to be so much new content we can do. Dude, we're Kathy, I'm working on Kathy Wood. I had a call with the ARC team a couple days ago. They want to do it with me. They want it. So I'm just like, all right, bet. Like, so we're going to see. I mean, she's in Florida, but she's 5 hours away from Miami. So it's going to be kind of tough to, when I go there in August to do the podcast, but she's in New York a ton. And now I'm very near New York. So I'll have a podcast studio. If she's able to come by, like just different opportunities are opening up, and having the potential to do it would be really fun. So no, we are not starting an OnlyFans, but look, I don't love all of Kathy's picks and all of her trades, but she did get Tesla, Coinbase, Robinhood, and Palantir. There's some others that I really don't like Zoom and Roku. I didn't get those. But I think just even picking her, I mean, she manages $8 billion, and there's not many women in the industry that manage $8 billion. And ARC is up almost 40% year to date. I would really love to talk about just her philosophy on investing, where she thinks disruptive innovation is going. and, you know, how big she thinks her type of investing can be in the next 5 years. Obviously, 2022, it was disgusting. If you look at the max chart, this was real bubblish. Like, this is not what we're seeing today. So when people say bubble, like, this is not what we're seeing today. This was outperforming Berkshire Hathaway by like 50% or something. And so, yeah, it got re-rated, but over the past year, it's been better. So I would love to get her perspectives and talk to her. But yeah, I just think there's gonna be more content opportunities as well. And Matt Money is gonna be able to move in with me. I mean, it'll be great. It'll be great. Amit is gonna start his OnlyFans with his grinder buddies. You guys see, this is what I'm saying. You guys can be aggressive towards me. It's fine. I can take it. But we need to not be aggressive towards Chris or anyone else. Especially when they're live on the chat, bro. I feel like you guys are not going to listen, though. Every time I have a guest, like, you're just going to be unhinged in the chat every time. And I'm freaking talking to Devin Ryan, trying to not laugh at... You guys called him Tucker Carlson, bro? Like, not going to lie, he did look like Tucker Carlson. He absolutely looked like Tucker Carlson. But it was hilarious. Yes, Chris can take it. I get it. But, like, it's some past 48 hours has been a bit too aggressive. And I get people are upset. I understand it, but... Like, at the end of the day, you know, people have their moments. And so we all got to move on as well. Chat is funny toxic. Dude, well, I mean, the streams are growing. And so there's a lot of people in the chat. And there's a lot of different people with different perspectives and ideas. And some people are, like, only focused on investing. Some of you guys are like, dude, I had someone message me today. Let me read this DM. This guy messaged me today. He said, hey, Amit, I'm a new investor, 16, and I saw you're up 108% year to date. I'm only up 21%. Please tell me how you go about picking your stocks. And I'm like, he's 16. He's up 21% year to like, dude, these people in high school are getting there so quickly in regards to understanding the markets. I mean, could you imagine at 16 compounding your capital 21%? Like, I don't even remember what I was doing at 16. So, like, the fact that, like, these kids are learning this quickly. Bro said only 21. Yeah, he said only 21%, right? Like, people want to compound quick, and they want to be able to find opportunities. And that's another bull case for crypto. It's a very exciting industry for a lot of these people as well. So he's probably investing through his dad's account or something, because if you're younger than 18, you can't even open up an account. But point is, I think there's a lot more people that are joining the streams, and some of them just happen to care about investing, but also be unhinged. And it is quite hilarious, but you guys can be absolutely ruthless. Sid, thanks for the $7. Thanks for all you do, Amit. I'm going to spend more time with you than my wife. Have a great Friday and weekend. Sid, have a great weekend. Appreciate it. You're not the first person to say that. I appreciate everyone that spends more time with me than their wife. At least if you're making money, then it's hopefully worth spending the time. All right. Thank you for the $20 super chat. Congrats, Matt. You have grinded daily and deserve all your success. Thank you for sharing your theses. Much gratitude. RA, thank you for the super chat as well. And yeah, I mean, again, thank you all for being here. It is fun. It definitely is a grind, dude. Like yesterday, I don't know if you could tell, but on the market close, I felt my energy on a big earnings day was not as high as it needed to be in terms of like the type of energy I bring. And that's because the market open was 5 hours long. And I just like, it's not that I didn't want to do the market close, but I was like legit tired to do the market close. And that type of energy, like I personally, maybe you guys didn't feel it. Maybe I did a good job covering it up, but it wasn't really there in my opinion. And I'm pretty self-critical of how I perform on these streams. So it tells me the market open can't be 5 hours long. Like it's probably got to be 3 hours because you need energy to get ready for the close. And so, yeah, it is absolutely a grind, but it's a grind I take very seriously. And, I want to make it an enjoyable experience for everyone every single day when you guys come through. All right. I think that's it. I think we're done. I think you need some Alani before the market close. Amit, did you have any big losses in your years investing? Yes. A lot of people know I blew up my account when I just got into investing on a stock, purple biotech PPBT. This thing is down literally 99% all time. I thought they were going to cure every single problem in the world. It was at $1,390 a share at one point. Now it's at $2.13. I lost like 20 grand. I mean, like at the time that was like everything. So yeah, that sucked, but it was definitely an experience. And it is what it is. You know, someone asked me in the morning, what did I do before investing? Again, I had my own consulting firm. I was really successful in debate in high school and college. And so I was able to get a lot of clients when I graduated college or during college. And that kind of transitioned into when I was graduating college. And so I was able to charge clients money to teach people how to speak. I know that sounds crazy because I have spoonerism and I don't know how to talk, but still, that's how I made my money. And a lot of that money, I invested it into Purple Biotech and poof, went away. So it's like, I've been through it. I've been through the pain of blowing up an account. You learn a lot of lessons and you get better from that, right? You get better from dealing with it. Can they cure too much talking? Yeah, I was basically full port, bro. I was like, this stock's going to make me rich, baby. I'm going to be rich at 22 years old. I'm going to be a millionaire. And then they did a reverse split. And I'm like, why did my 30,000 shares turn into 3,000? What's going on? Then they did another one. I was like, why do I only have 300 shares? And I was like, what is happening, bro? And I was like, they can do that. They can split the stock. But again, dude, like we talk about, it's so funny that like I ended up like becoming part of this cult of Palantir and taking everyone on the journey. The PPBT cult on StockTwits. We weren't on Twitter or YouTube, on StockTwits. Dude, we were probably 300 people deep. I cannot tell you the level of due diligence that we did. There was this one guy named Brad. He was the cult leader. I wasn't the cult. He was the cult leader. This guy single-handedly kept us investing in this stupid stock. NT219, for anyone who wants to look it up. NT219. That was the chemical that we thought was going to change everything. And I think the name of the CEO was Isaac. He's probably not there. But I remember one day he did an interview and he was like, investors should expect rapid ROI. I remember the exact quote, rapid ROI. And all of us were like, well, Isaac says rapid ROI, so we're good to go. We got to keep holding. We got to buy the dip. We got to buy the dip. There were nurses in that group chat. There were mechanical engineers. There were people with, you know, just basic blue collar jobs. They were putting whatever they had into freaking Purple Biotech. And then it went to shit. So it's crazy, bro. Because like with Palantir, it was the opposite. But Palantir was a real company. Palantir had to do due diligence. Palantir, there was a real management, leadership team, all this, you know, so you just learn all these lessons on how to not build a community and be stuck in something that's not real. And when Palantir was down at $6 to $8, it kind of forced us to analyze Purple Biotech or Palantir because there was nothing else to do but analyze it. But dude, that cult was serious. Is that thing still? I think if you go to StockTwits and you type up PPBT, you'll still find. Yeah, it's probably not that active. But if you go back like years, you'll find the DD. There's probably thousands of, because I think they keep it like forever until the company gets delisted. I didn't contribute much to the DD because I was young. I didn't know what I was doing, but I was learning about it. Also, their name wasn't even PPBT, bro. Their name was, hold on. Their name was, they went through a name change. Yeah, their name, dude, their name wasn't even Purple Biotech. Their name was Kitov Pharmaceuticals. And they changed their name to Purple Biotech in October 2020. Dude, this is triggering so many memories. We started analyzing what does purple mean? Like the color. Like why purple? And like the rabbit holes we went into for why they picked purple. I mean, it was insane. Someone says you were in that. Dude, this stock, it never became like Wall Street Bets famous, but it became, in our little cult, it became everything. That was your tuition to the School of Market Participation. Agreed. I'm a big believer that you need to pay your tuition to get into the market. Like you don't have to lose money, but like it's very hard to understand the value of money in the context of an investment and what it means to find a good company unless you lose money. And I will probably lose money in the future. So every time you go through that tuition, but that initial tuition of like, hey, I blew up an account either through options or leverage or some stupid stock, whatever, it makes you want to really not blow up another account. And I think that is important tuition. Edward, thank you for the $50 super chat. Big fan of your market takes. Welcome to Jersey City. Exchange Place gives you a Wall Street backdrop without the crowds, and Liberty State Park is perfect for clean skyline shots. Agreed. Exchange Place is awesome, and Liberty State Park is beautiful. I've been there many times. I used to go there after high school. Like Liberty State Park is absolutely beautiful. So thank you for the super chat, Edward. And maybe we'll see each other in Jersey City. over the coming months. Catalyst, thank you for the $20 super chat. Great community here. Happy weekend. Catalyst, thank you. Oracle of Oahu, thank you for becoming a channel member. Appreciate you being here as well. It went from full porting biotech to full porting Palantir. Yeah, basically, bro. Basically. But that's okay. It was no, yeah, of course I sold, bro. I'm not holding that junk. I sold it a long time. I think I sold it back in 2022 or 2023. I did hold it, I think, past 2021. Like I just kept it. It's like maybe one day the chemical works. Never ended up working. But yeah, eventually, and it also teaches you, like, dude, if I had cut my losses way quicker, I wouldn't have blown up the account. Like I would have just moved on. But you know, sometimes you have to really deal with that. Why are you renting, not buying? I've done the math myself, and you know, I've been reading a lot more takes around renting versus buying, dude. I am not convinced buying is the right way to do this. Like, not with rates this high, and not with the housing market frozen, which means the deals are not that good, and not with the stock market doing what it's doing. Any property I want to buy, any meaningful property, we're talking minimum 100K down, and that's being very, conservative. Like realistically, it's 150 to 200K down. 100K down versus being in the stock market. Imagine you get even 2% yield, 1.5% yield on that 100K via just selling calls or selling puts. Like, it's not worth it. It's not worth it. And then on top of that, I'm traveling a lot next year. Why would I pay property taxes for some place that, you know, I would live in, but I'm not going to be there every single weekend? Like, it's going to be a lot of traveling. Why would I have to deal with all the parts of maintaining a home when, you know, you don't want to really build long-term equity in it at this stage of your life? And then two, what am I going to sell to get the cash to be liquid enough to put a down payment? Like, NJ property taxes suck. Dude, my dad showed me his property tax bill the other day. It's like ridiculous, bro. It's insane. It's like what? I'm going to sell Hood and Palantir to make a down payment? Like, no, that's not happening. I'm going to sell NVIDIA? No, that's not happening. Like, it just doesn't make sense. Especially when my life is not real estate, right? My life is the stock market. So for people that are in real estate, it makes a lot of sense because they know everything, all the loopholes and taxes about real estate. My life is the market. So theoretically, I should be able to find strategies in the market because I'm literally studying it all day that should help me appreciate my capital, but also allow me to generate income via the strategies that at least I use. Some people use day trading. I like option selling, whatever it is. With real estate, I'm like maybe getting 2 to 3% a year in appreciation, maybe 5%, 5 to 7 if it's really good housing market. And I'm building equity in this thing for the next 30 years that is not really that exciting as your first home, you know? So I think a lot of people like the buying over renting because it feels like special to them that they bought a home, which is fine. But like that American dream needs to be reworked because the American dream right now is AI, and AI has so much capital that's being compounded into it that the American dream is investing in AI and allowing the NVIDIAs, the Amazons, the Palantirs of the world to be able to take you to the next level, especially in a world where there's so much question around job security in the next 5 years, right? And being allocated to those assets to me makes a lot more sense. Now, granted, I will say, real estate is way safer than stocks, theoretically, right? It's a physical home, it's a property. You know, Robinhood could fall one day, NVIDIA could fall one day. What if NVIDIA, people don't want chips anymore? Boom, the stock. But like, there's so many different things that could happen in the stock market. Trump could tweet something, whereas your house should be okay. But the type of risk reward on that safety to me is not attractive. It's just not attractive. Steve is not joining today, unfortunately. He's busy at work. He just got way too busy today. Jason will be on next Tuesday. We had earnings the past couple weeks, but Jason will be on next Tuesday, and so he'll be on. Yeah, you're. It's not that easy to get margin called with a house either. So you don't get the TTD moment exactly. I knew the first goodbye wasn't an actual good. It's because you guys keep asking questions, and then I'm here. Jerome, thank you for the £5. Appreciate it. Thank you for the super chat. Dream, thanks for the $5. I sold Nebia's plan to buy back in, but it doesn't seem to want to drop. What do you think? This is the hard reality of stocks sometimes, right? You sell it, stock doesn't give you the opportunity. If you this is where you have to ask yourself, do I really believe in Nebius after those earnings and I buy back in because I don't want to miss it? Or do I think there will be a pullback? I don't know about Nebius to give you the answer to that question. Based on the earnings that I saw, I thought they were phenomenal. So if you sold it like 50, stocks at 70, it might be a little tough to get back there, but obviously anything can happen in the macro. So maybe just DCA, maybe sell some puts, right? Sell some puts in the middle of it, 60. So even if you do have to buy back higher, at least you're getting paid to buy back some of the shares. So that's how I would play it. We're holding on to the hope for Steve. Oh my gosh. At these prices, I don't think it's safer anymore. We're due for a hefty correction. So we talked about that. We talked about Tom Lee's thesis today. I mean, like, what is the poll? I mean, it's most of you are saying 5% up, 71%. Yes, we could see a correction here. Absolutely. But the idea that we're due for a correction, that to me, that entire logic has flipped on top of its head all year. The only correction we meaningfully had was the tariff stuff. But if we don't have that type of an event again, and again, Tom Lee cited 6 different moments over the past couple of years where we have those crazy events, we have the drawdown, and then we recover. And the drawdowns have been less aggressive because people have wanted to allocate into the markets. And again, the number one thing that I will say that it just cannot sound euphoric is earnings growth. You cannot say the numbers I'm about to show on the screen are euphoric. Like, and if it is, I would love to know the argument against it. When we are crushing numbers on earnings to such an extent, 83% of companies are beating earnings and they're beating them by 7%. Could we have a correction? Sure. But are we due for one when you see stuff like that? I don't know. Got to see how the market ultimately thinks of it over the next few months. All right. Should I leave now? I think that's it. Yeah, correction to what? Bonds, right? Like, yeah, I agree. That's the other thing. Again, if we get a dip, like most of us are buying the dip and we're holding for the long term because NVIDIA, Palantir, Robinhood, Rocket, these companies are not going anywhere for the long term. They're way more attractive than some of these other names. Yeah, Vlad did do a new podcast, dude. This guy is doing so many podcasts. I did not watch it yet, but he did a new one. Dude, this guy, he's everywhere. He's everywhere. There you go. New 50 minutes. It's with the Thinking Crypto channel. So this is all crypto. So for anyone who wants to see it, I'll link it right here. All crypto for Robinhood. All right, I think that's it. It's Friday. I'll be live again in like 5 hours for the weekly. Trump is not live. Dude, is he actually live, bro? Or are you guys just trolling now? It's freaking 5 p.m. Isn't he going golfing? I did the U on purpose. Yeah, he's not live, bro. He's not live. He tends to golf on the weekends. So, all right, I think that's it. I'll be back for Palantir Weekly tonight. If I don't see people here, we'll be back on Sunday for the future show. Hopefully we have Steve. We'll talk more about his stuff in the market, Palantir, all that stuff. And yeah, it's been an incredible week. Again, love you all. Thank you for being here. I think we got a lot of new subscribers that joined the channel this week as well. Deeply appreciate people subscribing to the channel. I think we're going to have a lot of exciting content going into the end of the year with the move out. All of us are kind of moving out together with this. And yeah, again, Palantir, once again, I cannot express my gratitude for that company and what they've done to change my life, but they've changed all of our lives. And in an emotional sense, because it's created a journey between all of us, but also in a financial sense. I mean, when a stock moves like that and people get to buy in at the lows, I mean, even if you didn't get to buy into the lows, like even if you bought in at 50, you're still up double, like a little bit more than double. Like, it's just like a lot of people got to buy in at the lows, all of us together following this name. So incredible. And then Hoodie doing what it did today, 115. I think 120 is coming. I think it deserves it after those earnings. And then so many of you in other names like Nebius this week. I mean, so many things have done well. So, all right, that is it. Congratulations to everybody. Appreciate it. Means the world. Thank you for joining every single morning and afternoon. Deeply, deeply appreciate it. It's the greatest. Realistically, it's one of the greatest jobs I could have ever asked for. And I didn't know life would take me here, but I'm here and I'm trying to fully make sure that people enjoy being here every single day. And just keep doing it. Up or down, red or green. We got to be able to analyze the markets, and I want to bring the energy every single day that I think you all deserve if you all choose to spend your time with me. And hopefully we can bring it every single morning and afternoon. And the humor. I mean, realistically, I know everyone's here for the humor. Like the humor, it's like I get. Oh, hold on. Okay, before we leave, okay, hold on, because I gotta show. So hold on. Okay, this is how we'll actually end it. Hold on. See, this is my mind, bro. I say one thing, it triggers a memory, and then boom, like I have to. I'm sorry. I know everyone was just about to press X. I gotta show one thing. Okay, hold on. I was supposed to show this a long time ago, but I didn't get to show it, and I have to show it. I gotta. Okay, the problem is I didn't freaking save this tweet. So give me a second. I have to show this tweet because I need to show this. First off, hold on. This requires me knowing the name of the lady who played Baywatch. Who was that lady in Baywatch? Pamela Anderson. Okay. Some of you guys know where I'm going with this. This might sound super random, but I have to. This will happen 3 weeks ago, and I didn't show it, and I need to show this. Boom! Here we go. All right, you guys ready? So let me set this up real quick. I just think I deserve credit. I don't ask for credit for a lot of things. I don't want credit. I'm not the type of guy who has to have a big ego. Whenever I use credit, I do get 3% cash back though, but I think I deserve some credit for this. And not a lot of people saw this, so I don't think you guys gave me credit, but the people that did see it gave me a lot of credit, and I just want to bring this to the YouTube community because I think I deserve the credit. Okay? Take a look at this. So, Liam Neeson, 73, is madly in love with Pamela Anderson at 58 years old, okay? And so this Twitter account said, this is commendable. All too often, we see the Bill Belichicks of the world dating someone that could be their granddaughter. Okay? So what do I say in response to this? So Pamela Anderson is taken? And I just think the world deserves to understand how unbelievably good that was. Because when I tweeted that, the biggest fear I had about tweeting it, and no one say that's bad, because like the comments beneath it proved to me how good it was. When I tweeted that, my biggest fear was, oh, everyone's thought of this, and I'm gonna sound like I'm just like unoriginal with this tweet. Because I'm like, the first thing I saw when I saw Liam Neeson and Pamela Anderson is, oh, let me make a joke about Taken. None of the, when I mean none of the, that's not ChatGPT, none of the comments had it. And that's why, look at this, Nate. This is one of your better ones, can't lie. Wow, good. Someone said, like, you've seen that movie. I have seen Taken. Heisenberg right here, look at that. He's saying 10 out of 10. I mean, I got complete praise across the board. There's Eddie laughing so hard, he's spitting out his water. Mic drop, good call. I mean, just pure praise across the board. And I couldn't believe that no one thought of this. No one. Thank you. Some of you guys saying you killed that, not going to lie. Thank you. So I just wanted to make sure. This happened July 29th. I was going to do it that day. We probably had some earnings on July 29th, so I forgot about it. But it's August 8th, a week later. And I do think I deserve to get the credit. I do. Like, I don't need the credit all the time. Like, I get enough 3% cash back on my credit, but this is one that I need. I was surprised, dude. Like, the reason there was such a positive reaction is because no one, when I mean no one, I went through the tweets. No one made the Taken joke. And I was like, how could no one have made that? Like, this is obvious. But I did. So I just, you know, that's all. That's all I'm trying to say. That's all. I think that's how we end the stream. That's how we'll end the stream today. There you go. Steve can't make it, guys. I'm sorry. He's busy. He has actual work and the job. And he said he was going to call me. He hasn't even called me. If he had called me, I would have called him back. But legit, he must be super busy. So anyway, that's how we end the stream. You know, I tend to be a humble guy. I tend to be modest. But that one, everyone deserves to see that one. Like, you got to admit, that was, can we do a poll? And don't troll on this poll. Don't troll. Was that good? Just simple yes or no. Was that good? Do not troll, bro. Like, be honest here. It should be 80-20 yes. I'm sorry. It should be 80-20 yes. There'll be 20% of you that troll, but it should be 80-20 yes. I did not say Nielsen. I said Neeson. Probably said Nielsen. There we go. Thank you. The chat is on my side. 84-16. That was good. I'm lost on that one. So Liam Neeson did a movie called Taken, which I actually have seen. And shout out to DL. So admit you were worried that the joke was already taken. Like, dude, I tweeted it and then I went to look at the comments. I'm like, there's no way I'm original on this tweet. There's like everyone must have been tweeting this. And then I was just like, no one's tweeted it. And so I just let it sit there. And then I got the praise that the joke deserved. And so I was very, very happy for that. So there you go. That's how we end up the stream. Andy, thanks for the super chat. My grab average is 535 on my shares, 450 on my options. So 450 on my options, 545 on my shares. All right, that's it. Thank you, everybody. Appreciate it. Yeah. Hopefully you guys enjoyed that one. Hopefully you guys are proud of your boy. You know, you don't always get a banger. Like that was a banger. And so hopefully you guys are proud of your boy. All right, I'm out. That's it. Officially. Enjoy the weekend. I'll see everyone for Pouncer Weekly tonight. We'll go deep into the numbers with Amir, Matt, and Arnie. And then Sunday, future show. Hopefully Steve will be able to join. And yeah, we'll get his thoughts as well. All right. Love you all. Thank you. Appreciate it. See you guys later today and then on Sunday for the future show. Bye, everybody. Have a good one.